What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Fresh Perspective, episode number 3. Johnny Fresh here. And I have the privilege tonight of being with my good pal and guest number 3, Andre the Bull Harrison, world champion MMA fighter, currently with PFL. And we're here tonight to have a conversation, break down a few things about the fight game, his life, and just life in general. So, Andre, welcome to the Fresh Perspective. Always a pleasure, my man.
Man, thanks for having me, man. Blessings in the name of the Most High. King Selassie I.
Right? So we thought it was a good idea to break open a bottle of whiskey before this. He got here an hour, almost 2 hours ago. We got through a whole bottle before this one and a lot of good talk. I wish we had on camera, but we're here now. So what I want to introduce is basically your background story. Give people who don't know the Bull the background of where you came from, your upbringing, and just what made you who you are today and what got you into the fight game.
Ooh, that's a very, very, very saturated question. Well, I'm of Caribbean descent. My parents are from Trinidad. My brother's parents are from Jamaica. And so we had a little bit of a cultural diversity in the household. And, we moved here like anybody else that would immigrate here for a better life, a better perspective on things. And it was dope, man. We came out here. We were able to get a good education. We were able to...
When did your family come here?
So for me personally, when we came here, I was in the 4th or the 5th grade. I can't really remember too.
Oh, so you were in the islands up until then?
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah, man. So what happened was the year that I was born.
Why do I always say all my boys are immigrants? I'm the only fucking American born. Anybody that I chill with.
That means you're guilty by association.
I guess, man. I get it.
But what happened was the year that I was born, my grandfather died. And so my mom brought me back to Trinidad. By the grace of God, I was born in the U.S. because we didn't need a visa wasn't as essential as it is if you're born in a third world country. And so I was born in the U.S. And the year that I was born, we went to the Trinidad and, we stayed for the funeral. And then, we stayed to hash out all of his. And
ended up staying till like 8 years old?
Yeah, we ended up staying. And then, so I went to my first form of schooling was out there. Everything was out there.
You remember that at all?
Yeah, man. Yo, one of my fondest memories was when my family has a big farmland. They got like 40 acres of farmland in Trinidad, right? More than just a mule. You know what I mean? Them have chickens, them have cow, them have, all kind of thing over there, so, right? And so I remember going out there and playing with some of the animals and a chicken. I'm like, yo, chickens, we eat chickens. They not really that bad, but a fucking chicken grabbed my forearm and scratched the shit out of me. My wrist was cut and it was bleeding, like droplets of blood was dropping on the ground.
From what I understand.
They're really like,
they eat
nasty.
Anything on the ground, they're kind of vicious, I heard.
They're nasty animals. And so
I don't have much chicken experience. I eat a lot of chicken, but that's about it.
And so I came back, I run and my forearm was bloody and, they ended up cleaning it up and doing all that other stuff. But, that was my first experience like that, like, coming out there and dealing with that. And then we eventually came back to the States. I was in 4th and 5th grade and met some of my friends that I'm still very much cool with to this very, very day and joined sports. And
so you moved back to Long Island?
No. Originally, we moved back to Brooklyn.
Okay.
And so when we moved back to Brooklyn,
what part of Brooklyn?
East New York.
That's my pops is from, actually.
I'm sorry to hear that. So I remember looking at East New York, and there was a show at the time.
Playing Tyson's house, right?
Exactly. No, Tyson was from Bed-Stuy, I believe,
or Brownsville.
Brownsville or Bed-Stuy.
It could be. I don't.
They're all the same shit. Like,
they're all within 5 minutes.
Can I cuss on here?
Yeah, hell yeah.
All right, so East New York, Bed-Stuy, Brownsville, they're all equally as fucked up as the other. And so I'm sitting up there
they
and
all border each other.
Yeah, they all, you know what I mean? So I'm sitting up there and I'm like, Mom, you sure you want to get a house in East New York? She was like, yeah. They offered me a 9-bedroom house and over here for this amount of money. I'm like, the reason why they're doing that is because this house was legitimately on gangland. Like, this is not an area that one would move to, like, right out the gate. Like, you know, it's a fucked up area. And she was like so set on it. So she found a different house. It's not a terrible area, but it's not an area that I would advise somebody to move with.
Although it's changing now.
It's changing.
Brooklyn now is expensive.
Not East New York and Brownsville yet.
It's creeping. It's
creeping, but not there yet.
Yeah, no, it's not Williamsburg quite yet.
Well, I remember I was sitting outside. I went to go visit my mom because even though they live in Brooklyn, I live in Long Island right now. And so I'm sitting outside, I'm visiting my mom, and I seen trucks pull up, SWAT units. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? And my neighbors, legitimately, not 3, 4, 5 houses down, not the next block down, my legitimately next door neighbor. They kicked open his fence, kicked open the doors, and they went in there and they arrested everybody.
Drug house?
When I mean everybody, I mean fathers, I mean mothers, I mean sisters, brothers, I mean children.
How old are you at this point?
Everybody left in handcuffs. I was in college at this time.
Oh, okay.
I just came back from college, so I was maybe 22, 23. And everybody in that house from 40 and 50 years old to 7 and 8 years old walked out of there that day in handcuffs going to the paddy wagon. And I'm like, yo, what the fuck is it? It was a drug raid.
You know what paddy wagon came from?
Where?
You know what the term paddy wagon means?
No.
It's funny. All this racism talk now. You know, paddy wagon is a slur against Irish people. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
I'm going to cut you off, but I'm part Irish.
I
don't give a shit. That's slightly offensive to me at all. But paddies are Irish people. And back in the early 1900s, when the Irish people causing trouble in New York City, they would all get thrown into the back of the wagon and started calling them paddy wagons.
Can I tell you that I love Irish people? I love Irish people. Irish people drink. They have fun. They don't give a fuck if you're black, white, brown, whatever.
As long as you drink.
As long as you're drinking, they're cool with you.
Your family,
and I love those kind of people. Like, you know, like they're cool. Like in my mind, a perfect world should not matter what your skin color is. It shouldn't matter if you're black, white, Spanish, brown, whatever. Like, yo, as long as you're a good and decent person.
What's in here.
As long as you're good,
not what the fucking how much melanin you have.
As long as you're good and a decent person, then that's it. Like, why? Like,
it should be that simple.
It should be, but it's not. And to me, a person that grew up like me, I don't understand why. This shit is like tough for me.
I think that people, they go for the low hanging fruit, and a lot of times it's easy to blame the other or the unknown, and especially when you have forces outside that are kind of pushing you to feel that way. You know, you have media, you have news, you have everybody telling you to be scared of the other, and black against white and Spanish and Mexicans, and they prey upon fear because they know that's the emotion that hits the hardest. You know, that's going to get attention, that's what gets ratings, it makes money, and they put us against each other. And it's unfortunate because, you know, my network is a melting pot, and I fucking love that. And it's a melting pot of more than just skin color. So the least important part to me, it's a melting pot of ideas. Yeah, how are we going to do this? I got to figure this out on camera. Great. But a melting pot of perspectives, because everybody thinks differently, and you're only an accumulation of your life experiences, right? And where you grow up, your family, your friends, your neighborhood, just shapes who you are. So the more you get out, the more people you meet, the more different perspectives, the more fresh perspectives that you get, the better that better off you'll be. And that's why I love it. I mean, my group of friends growing up, I was lucky enough to be the kind of kid who has, like, and to this day still, groups of friends in different areas that I'm tight with. Like I have my engineer tonight, Joey. We grew up, we went to the same middle school together for a short period of time, but I clicked with the North Belmore kids a lot better than I did with the South Belmore kids, honestly. They were more into things I was into, basketball, yada, yada. I'm still tight with all of them. My South Belmore friends, a lot of Jews, a lot of my high school friends, Russians, some of my family's Italian and Irish. I played basketball, so I was the only white kid a lot of times. Like all my black, it gave me the diversity to be able to be in any room at any time, in any place, and I'm comfortable because I'm used to every culture. I know the nuances of every culture. That's what makes me dangerous. That's what I'm most proud of in myself.
That's what makes you formidable. I grew up wrestling, and wrestling is predominantly a white American sport.
Why is that, you think? Is wrestling expensive? I don't mean to make this a racial thing again, but I always wonder that too, because we were talking about this recently with some sports people get priced out of, right? Like hockey.
Yeah.
Expensive to play. I don't know. I don't have many good examples on that, to be honest. But some sports, it seems like the racial lines are very, very clear in.
You know what it is?
Do black people not like skating?
Black people don't like skating.
Is that what it is?
Most black people don't like the cold.
Okay. So I learned something new today.
But I don't think that wrestling is not expensive. It's not. But I think most black people don't align with the fact of being in tight attire.
But the singlet throws people off.
The singlets, like they can't get with the singlets and then compete with another person in a wrestling singlet. Like it's a tough pill to swallow because I remember
that deterred me.
It deterred me too as well. Like I remember the reason how I even got into wrestling.
How old were you when you started wrestling?
I was in middle school. I was in 7th grade.
Were you in Freeport?
I was in Freeport at the time. And so what happened was
your class of graduating high school, you're 06?
06, yeah.
Okay, so you're a year behind me. So you were in middle school same time as we were. Joey, did we go against at Grand Avenue? Did we go against Freeport?
I hope not, because that means I would have dusted somebody off.
I'm not sure if we did. There was weird divisions and shit back then, and basketball and wrestling were the same season.
Yeah.
And basketball was my fucking life. So I never, and the wrestling coach used to come to my classes during the day and like try to like
recruit.
Yeah, they used to be like, Johnny, come on, like you're not built for basketball, you're built for wrestling.
Yeah,
I just never wanted to be in the singlet.
This is how I got into wrestling, because I wanted to play football because my older brother played football, but I hated the cold weather, and football is during the fall, and oftentimes it would
You're
snow.
Built like a halfback.
It would be fucking cold as shit out there, and so
was he a halfback?
He was I think a corner or a tailback. I'm not entirely sure. He didn't start. That's why I'm not sure.
You could have been a safety, or you could have been a running back. I'm sure your genetics. I'm sure
could have been. But what happened was he wrestled one year, and so I was like, man, fuck it, I'm gonna give wrestling a try.
And it was how much older are your brothers than you?
5 years.
You have 2 brothers, right?
Yeah, one was 5 years, one was 2 years.
How was growing up with them in the house?
It was torture. I got beat up. When people say that they did something every single day, it's an exaggeration. When I tell you guys that I got beat up every single day, there is no exaggeration on it. I mean, Monday through Monday, I got beat up every single day.
I know Anthony, if you're listening, I know you can relate to this. My best friend, Anthony Riggio, he's got 2 older brothers who were animals and loved WWF. And he was the fucking target of every rock bottom, every sharpshooter.
Bro, I got beat up every single day. And it was like one of those things. Like I remember a few times saying to him, like, because my mom, she's from Trinidad. And, you know, she didn't know American culture like that. So she did things the best way she knew how, which was go to school during the day, work throughout the night until you reach a certain stature where you didn't have to do that anymore.
Workhorse.
And so when she was getting ready to go to work at 8 p.m., my brothers would look at me and they would give me the wink. And that wink meant that, yo, once mommy walked through that door,
it's on.
You was getting fucked up because there's nobody here to stop us. And I'm like, y'all motherfuckers don't get tired of this? And they looked at me and they said, no. Like legitimately looked me in my eyes and they said, no, we don't get tired of this. And they proceeded to beating the dog shit out of me. Every Monday through fucking Monday, I would get fucked up. Every single day.
Man, so
you know what I mean?
You were bred to be a fighter at that point.
Like without knowing it. Like in my mind,
unfortunate. It's very fortunate at this point.
In my mind, though, I never thought I would be a fighter. It was one of my best friends, Tyshawn Patrick. He told me that I would end up doing MMA. he was like, yo, you ever seen this MMA shit, dog? And I was like, nah, I don't really watch that shit. I watch a little boxing, maybe a little kickboxing, but
people now don't understand that MMA was super foreign when we were growing up. But we're the same age person. I'm a year older than you. That's it. And when we were in school, MMA basically didn't exist. I mean, the extent of UFC at that point was when you were in Blockbuster. I'm sorry, if you're younger than fucking 25, you probably don't know what Blockbuster is. When we were in Blockbuster going to check out whatever movie of the week it was, right before you checked out, you'd see a little VHS. If you're under 25, don't know what a VHS is either. It's a little fucking cassette tape, whatever the fuck, movie. And there would be the UFC 1, 2, 3, and you'd see guys like Ken Shamrock and Hoist Gracie, whatever was on the front. And it was like barbaric, savage, no weight class shit. And it wasn't mainstream at all. There was no MMA gyms. There was no jiu-jitsu gyms. MMA wasn't even a thing. It wasn't even on the radar at that point.
Nope, not at all.
It was boxing. And that was it.
It was boxing. It was jiu-jitsu, and it was wrestling. And what it was,
jiu-jitsu wasn't even big then.
Originally, out the gate, what it was everybody would bring their individual discipline that they mastered in, and they would bring it to the cage. And ultimately, jiu-jitsu won. And so some people was like, man, fuck jiu-jitsu. If I learn how to defend this submission, I would be able to beat this guy. And so they would figure out how to do jiu-jitsu just so they can stop it. And then jiu-jitsu practitioners would learn how to do wrestling. And then they would learn how to do kickboxing. And then they would learn how to do boxing. And all of a sudden,
the martial arts
MMA became a melting pot of all different types of styles. And then after a while, it was like, yo, fucking wrestlers knew how to box and how to kickbox, and jiu-jitsu practitioners knew how to wrestle, and at the end of the day, everybody knew how to do everything. And now we are where we are now where everybody knows how to do everything. And so in order for you to be relative in this day and age, you need to know
everything.
You need to know everything and master not one, but a few different disciplines in order to even be talked about.
So what would you say was basically, in order to be relevant in MMA in 2020, you need to be top of the food chain in jiu-jitsu, wrestling, kickboxing. That's the fundamental three,
1,000%.
Right? That's crazy. I mean, it's like merging 3 sports. It's really, people don't understand how much work goes into. That's kind of why, that's the one is I really want to talk about today, is because some people who aren't into UFC in depth, you have your surface level fans, but people who really aren't into the X's and O's, they don't realize how intricate of a sport it is. They still see it as cage fighting. And it's so much more than the guys you see fighting at the bar on Saturday night. It's gone to a technical level that, in my opinion, is in 2020, MMA is the hardest sport on the planet, and it's not even close. It's not even close.
See, do you agree with that? Here's the thing. 1,000%. Here's the thing.
Obviously, you're biased, but I agree.
I am 1,000% biased, and they say that the hardest thing to do in athletics is to be able to hit a baseball in an MLB, and it might be. I'm not sure. I've never even attempted it, so it might
7 tries, right, or 6, whatever the hell it is.
Here's the thing, though:
3 strikes, 4 balls.
In MMA,
if you do it once a night, twice a night, you're a success.
In MMA, you have to be able to recognize a punch, a kick, a knee, a elbow, a takedown, a submission, within a matter of milliseconds.
All while you're trying to do the same to the other person.
And it's so difficult. I don't think people understand how difficult it is. If you look at a fight and you think that it's as simple as throwing a punch or a kick or a knee or an elbow and you win, then you're so far gone that it doesn't even make sense sharing this information with you.
Well, that's why I can't watch fights in public places anymore. Because listen, I will say it right off the bat. I'm a fucking nobody, right? I don't know shit. I am as low on the totem.
I wouldn't say a nobody. You
know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Came to the gym. You've hit pads. You've seen people participate.
But I couldn't I I couldn't hold my own with any of these guys on TV. So when I'm sitting there at a fucking bar, some drunk asshole saying, get up or fucking dude, I'm like, bro, you have no idea what's going on right now. Like, what the fuck? And if anything was a clear indicator of the difference in athletics to fighting that we've ever seen, it's last fucking night. I mean, we're recording this on a Sunday. I mean, Nate Robinson was my hero for a long time because we're virtually the same build. He's an inch taller than me. I'm about 10 pounds heavier than me. We're built similarly, athletically the same. I used to be very athletic, not Nate Robinson level, but like I was a high flyer, whatever it is. And he hopped into the ring with a YouTube guy who, don't get me wrong, Jake Paul is clearly
a YouTuber. It just seems so bad.
But you know what I'm saying? No, I mean, that's what he's known for. He's a fucking YouTube personality, and he's a bad motherfucker. I mean, take it what you want to do. Hate on him whenever you want. It's easy to hate on him because he's good looking, he's successful, he's young, he's rich. He does YouTube for a fucking living. Very easy to hate on. But that motherfucker backed it up. And we're talking about Nate Robinson. We're talking about the top 0.00001% in athleticism. We're talking about a guy who dunked over Dwight Howard, who blocked Yao Ming at 5'9", 190 pounds. I mean, this guy is about as freak as an athlete as it comes, and he got mopped.
I wouldn't say 5'9" though.
No?
He's about 5'6", 5'7".
Nate? No.
Yo, they falsify.
Joey, bring it up.
They falsify a lot of these NBA reports. I guarantee you, if you brought Nate Robinson down here right now, he's smaller than you are, and you would look at him.
That's even more impressive,
bro.
That's even more impressive because he dunked over Dwight Howard.
He can jump and he can block, but
he can't
for him to be 5'9".
It says 5'9" according to Google. Who the fuck knows now? Google's algorithms are all kinds of wacky. Maybe
Google has been drinking a lot of whiskey, and so they're a little messed up. But I do respect what you're saying. Yo, this dude went ahead and jumped in there.
What did you think about it?
So for me, it's like they're making a mockery of the sport. Like boxing, the bottom tier of boxing is to hit and not be hit. That's the notion of boxing. That's the sole purpose of boxing. Hit and not be hit. And so you see this guy go out there and he just kind of ambushes and throw wild punches with no kind of sequence, no kind of
I wonder what was going on in training. You think his trainers were watching going, what the fuck?
No, his trainers was watching him and saying like, yo, bro, you're Nate Robinson. If you touch him with this, he would go to sleep. Not realizing that anybody that fights gets touched. Anybody that fights gets touched. Anybody that fights gets touched. The biggest difference is how you deal with it when you get touched. Some people roll and respond back right away. Some people roll and they dance around and then touch you back. Some people, they get hit and they panic and they curl up in the ball. And so what happens is
everyone's a plan till they get punched in the face, right?
Everybody says all kind of different tough discussions until they get touched. And then it's like, bro, it's difficult when you got somebody in front of you that really wants to hurt you.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I will never forget. I was in PFL and I'm fighting in the tournament and I'm fighting this Russian guy. I don't really know how to say his name properly, but you guys all can look in my record and see who it is that I'm talking about.
I know plenty of Ruskies that can probably translate for you. What
his last name was like Kabulov, like
okay, always
something like that. And he threw a right hand, and off of the right hand, which was very, very awkward, he threw a spinning round hook kick. And I'm like, you know, and I blocked it, but it had so much force and so much torque coming off of that spinning round, off of that right hand, that when he landed it rocked me. Like it really, really rocked me. And I didn't
your hand up and hit your hand through it.
My hand was up, but the force that traveled from his heel through my hand, through my brain, and out the side was so much that it didn't matter. Yeah. I was fucked up.
People don't understand, I think, that, and then obviously you can speak on this better than I can, but it seems, I know for a fact I've been kicked. When you get hit with a leg, it's like getting hit with a giant baseball bat. Yeah, I mean, a leg weighs 30, 40 pounds, whatever it is.
It's fucked up, bro. And so what happened was I got hit with that shot, and I was like, I had no idea where I was, what I was doing, anything. The very next thing that I remember was the doctor being in front of my face, asking me if I'm okay. And I'm like, yeah, I'm okay.
It's between rounds?
Yeah, this is after the round. I don't remember anything I got hit with after that, nothing of the sort. And so I'm like, what the fuck just happened? And so
Are your coaches filling you at this point?
My trainer, my father, Keith, sits me down and he's like, yo, out of all the fights that we have, and this is my 20th fight, he's like, yo, are you okay? And this concerned me because he's never said this before. He's always been like, yo, listen, you need to do this, you need to do that. You get your shit in gear. And I'm like, he's asking me if I'm okay. And I'm like, yeah, I'm okay. I'm fine.
Meanwhile, you were probably looking like all out of sorts. If he had asked you that, you were probably like, where the fuck am I?
In his mind, I just got destroyed. And so I'm like, I'm fucking concerned. I'm like, yo, I don't know what the fuck just happened. And so he's like, listen, when you get out there, just move around a little bit, make sure that your legs are under you, and you go from there. And so I get up and I'm like, fuck. Clearly, I just got fucked up that first round. Like, I got destroyed in that first round. And so there's a very good possibility that I might get knocked the fuck out. And if that's the case, it is what it is. Like, this is the career path that I chose. I'm not trying to sound tough. I'm not trying to be big and bad, but this is a career path that I chose. And so should I get knocked out, that's okay. I just want him to get hit one good time so that he knows that he was in a fight. Like, I don't give, I might get knocked out, but I just want you to know you got hit one good time so you know that you were in a fight and motherfucker, like, you didn't just bitch me over. Like, I'm here.
Like the first round?
You fought. This was in the first round.
Jesus Christ.
And so in the second round, I came out and I threw a 2-punch combination. The first punch stopped him. The second punch landed. And from there, the tides turned. I won a second and I won a third round. And we became to a draw. And I was like, yo, this is the toughest fight that I've ever been in.
The first round?
He had a 10-8 in the first round. Because of that kick? Because of everything. I remember walking back.
Did you go down from the kick?
I went down, yeah. So what happened was I got hit with the kick. He landed a bunch of combinations. And then he threw a flying knee. He dropped me. He landed a bunch more. And in my mind at that time frame, I'm on my side. And in my mind, all I'm thinking was, I got to get to a single leg. I don't even realize that I'm in a fucking fight. In my mind, I'm thinking I'm in a wrestling pad. I'm on my side. I got to get up and I got to get to a single leg takedown. Not a double, not a high crotch, I got to get to a single leg. And so I push myself and I'm getting to that. And as I'm coming up, he hits me with a flying knee. Now, he hit somebody in the first round of the tournament with a flying knee and damn near beheads them.
And you saw that.
And I saw that. So in my mind, I'm like, this motherfucker ain't hitting me with no flying knee. Right? And to the end of the fight, I'm like, he didn't land it. And then we were walking back to the locker room and my jiu-jitsu coach, Joe Scarola, he was like, Dre, I'm not going to lie. Because I asked him, I was like, what do you think about the fight? He was like, I'm not going to lie to you. You scared me when you got hit with that flying knee. And I was like, hit with a flying knee? I was like, I didn't get hit with a flying knee. He's like, Dre, yeah, you did. In the first round, like towards the end of the round, you got hit with a flying knee. I'm like, fuck. So I watch it back and I'm like, shit, I got hit with everything in that first, not just a flying knee. I got hit with a right hook, straight right, left hook, straight uppercut, knee, kick. I got hit with everything in that first round. And so for me, I look back at it and I was like, yo, if I can take all of that and be on my feet and keep going, like, Dre, you a bad motherfucker,
yeah, hell of a
man.
motherfucking chin. People don't understand. People have no idea. If you never fought, and I'm not talking about you got into a fight on a Saturday night. I'm talking about if you never fought in a fucking octagon before, you have no idea. And I'm not saying that I do. I am saying that I do not either. But you don't understand what type of mental fortitude it takes to get hit with not just any flying knee, left hook, straight, roundhouse kick to the fucking head, but by another professional fighter. If you have no idea what kind of warrior spirit. That's one of the questions I got today earlier. I posted a thing earlier today saying, if you have any questions for the bull, let me know what to ask. And someone said, you know, what do you think defines a warrior spirit? And I think we just got to that question right there. That defines a warrior spirit, because I consider myself just as a soul. I'm an enduring soul, right? I consider myself mentally tough. I have some kind of fortitude. I can't say with any kind of certainty that I'd be able to continue a fight after getting hit with what he got hit with. And now that you say it, now I'm remembering seeing the clip. I remember seeing the draw. But you fought back and you won the next 2 rounds.
You know what it
Wrestling
is?
teaches you that.
Wrestling teaches that you don't know what anybody is capable of, but when you're in there, you got to do what you got to do. Like, it is what it is. And I'm sitting there and I don't realize I get hit with XYZ. It's just all I know is that I'm here. I can't bitch out, and I got to push forward, man. I just gotta push forward.
There's no quit in your vocabulary. It's not even your fucking. It's not even a thought in your head.
It's not quit. It's a bit. You can't bitch out. You gotta go. You're here already. You got
people who've put in effort also. All right. So obviously our bladders needed a break, but we're back, and we got off a little topic. We got a little bit off sidetrack there, getting into crazy fight war stories, basically. But I want to bring it back to the origin, because I'm interested in how the bull came to be. So it's middle school. You're at Freeport Middle School, and you're wrestling. First off, what made you start wrestling? Was it the brothers kicking your ass?
No. What it was I don't mean to seem cliche, but we weren't the most fortunate of families. And so I'm at school, and my technology teacher, he says, Dre, I bet you $50 you wouldn't even be able to make it a week in the wrestling room. And I'm like, $50? You know, and at the time I was building a mongoose bike. Like, all I had was a frame. I had like 2 tires, but I didn't have a chain. I didn't have a good handlebars. So I'm like, $50, I can get my bike up and running. I ride all throughout the neighborhood with this. So I'm like, all right, you on. You know, so I go to the gym every day and I get fucked up every day. Like,
were you a small kid?
Yeah, I wrestled my first year.
In the 7th grade, right?
I wrestled 92 pounds my first day. And I got fucked up. Like, I was 92 pounds every single day. Every day. My lip was busted. My eye was fucking wrenched. My face was bruised every single day. And at the end of the day, at the end of the week, it was time for me to get my $50 and I could stop. And I was like, yo, I'm gonna take this 50, but I don't want to stop. And he was like, well, why not? I was like, because I want to learn what these dudes know. Like, I want to get them back. Like, they've been beating me up this whole time. I want to beat them up back.
So they had already been wrestling, or was it the 8th graders that you were beating you up?
No, they had already been wrestling since it was like 4 years old. And so I learned what they learned, but what happened is I never stopped. So once wrestling season was over, I did freestyle. Once freestyle was, I would do Greco-Roman with freestyle, and then I would come back to collegiate, and I would do it all year round. So I never
collegiate's what they do in high school or in regular school.
Yeah, collegiate's what they do in like high school, middle school, and college.
And then freestyle and Greco, you do like travel type of shit
all over the world.
Okay.
And so the United States.
What's the difference? I'm actually, people probably don't know, and I don't know. So I'm actually very curious. I've heard these terms a lot. It's one of those things where I'm always embarrassed to ask because I don't want to sound like I don't know, but I don't fucking know. So what's the difference between? Because I remember like very distinctly, like when Ben Askren was coming to the UFC, everyone was like, he's the best at, I think it's freestyle, right? So what is the difference between freestyle, Greco-Roman, and collegiate?
All right, between freestyle and collegiate, there's not that many differences. One of the biggest is you're allowed to lock your hands when you're in the top position. When you're in a position of control, you're allowed to lock your hands
around the guy, right?
In freestyle.
Okay.
Whereas in
remember Khabib and DC, we're going back and forth about that.
Exactly. You're not allowed to do that in folk style.
Okay.
Freestyle, you are. Also,
why? So that lets you stay in control.
Yeah, that gives you an extra, like, you can connect, you can get an extra fortitude of control. Also, you get more points for higher throws, higher amplitude throws. Whereas in folk
what do you mean,
style,
like a harder throw?
So if in folk style, if I throw you over my shoulder, I might get DQ'd for like aggression. in freestyle, if I throw you over my shoulder,
it's rewarded.
I'm rewarded. That may be the end of the match. And Greco-Roman, it's all upper body. I'm not allowed to touch your legs. You're not allowed to touch my legs. So it's all throws and all.
So there's no single legs. There's
nothing of the sort.
Interesting. That's Greco-Roman.
That's Greco-Roman.
Greco-Roman's no legs.
No legs whatsoever. I'm not allowed to even touch your legs. You're not allowed to touch mine.
Interesting. I wonder, like, where that, like, the origin. I guess it's in Greek or Roman times.
In ancient times, Greco-Roman and freestyle wrestling.
It must have been like unmanly to go for the legs, or like unsportsmanlike to go for the legs.
Yeah, it was just different times. Different times, different rules. But it wasn't. It was just different, a whole different rule set.
I remember as a kid, I got into a fight in the park or whatever the hell it was, or at school. Someone threw a kick, you're like a bitch.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, what the fuck you doing here? We're throwing hands. But now it's
status
like,
quo.
Yeah, but now it's like if you don't have, if you're not a kickboxer, you're irrelevant pretty much at this point.
And it's exactly the same thing. And so, with all that going on, you would abide by the rules that in case somebody was recording it, or if your friends was going to tell a story of what happened when Dre and Jonny fought, whatever. And so
you're year round at this point.
Year round, every year though, because in my mind I was like, yo, originally I was prize oriented, and so I would wrestle in a tournament and I'd be like, shit, they're giving out medals at the end.
I want that trophy. I want
a gold medal.
Yeah.
And then you realize, like, all right, this tournament, they give out trophies. And it was like, I want that gold trophy. And then when I saw that there were plaques, I was like, oh, plaques. You can get a plaque. Like it's like a trophy and a medal, like hung up on your wall. I want that fucking plaque. And so my first time wrestling for a plaque in that tournament.
How old are you at this point?
I was in 8th grade going into high school.
This is on one of the travel leagues, I'm guessing.
This is in one of the travel leagues. And so I wrestled in high school tournament being in 8th grade.
Damn.
Right? And so I wrestled and one of my teammates got
You got good fast.
Yeah, I had no choice. One of my teammates got destroyed by somebody. And so one of my other teammates, again, got destroyed by the same person. And I had to go against this person.
Where was he from?
New Rochelle.
Okay.
And so I had
for some reason those up north kids, they like matured faster than Long Island kids.
Different, man.
They were big boys, country boys almost.
And the only thing that he could do different from us was he was able to ride legs. We've never seen anybody do legs before to use their legs to turn people. It was always upper body, half Nelsons, arm bars, and things of that nature. So this is the first time us experiencing somebody using their legs to like wrench you over to get back points. So my first person got pinned, my second person got wrenched over so many times, and he lost like 10-1, and it was me now to wrestle him in the finals.
And like, oh shit,
fuck! So I'm going against this guy now, and I it was like 2-1 going into the second period. My stupid ass choose bottom. And he gets on top of me, he gets a leg in, and he starts wrenching me every old kind of way.
What's wrenching? I don't know, because I don't think people understand.
Twisting you.
Turning you over?
Yeah, twisting you to where your two shoulder blades, your back is exposed to the mat, and he's on top of you in a very controlling position.
And he can pin you at this point.
He can pin you at this point. So I'm fighting him so he doesn't pin me, but he's fighting me so he can pin me. So we're like battling against wills, so to speak. And I'm just sitting up there and I'm like, man, like I don't want this guy to like just, manhandle me. But he wins. He wins. I take second, he wins.
Bitter pill.
And I'm just sitting up here and I'm like, he beat me, not because he's better than me, but because he knows more than me. He's able to do an offense that I have no defense to. And so I'm like,
huge learning lesson.
Only way that I can get better is I have to know more so I can do more to prevent somebody else from doing to me something that I don't know anything about.
It's the key to life right there.
And that's one of the biggest issues in life right now, in my opinion, as a whole, is that one of the main things that we know is that money controls everything. If you have a large sum of money out the gate, you can control things that somebody without money can't control. And so if you understand money, you understand credit, you understand ownership, you can do things that somebody that doesn't understand those things can't do, even if they have the right amount of money. And so it was always like, once I started understanding things, it was always a fault of mine. Like, well, well, why is there no courses in school that teaches you the importance of credit?
Zero. Or taxes.
Or taxes. Why is there no courses in school that teaches you the like
how to form corporations or businesses, tax structures,
the differences between an LLC or
sole prop or whatever it is.
You know what I mean?
C corp, because I mean, again, this is little that I know, but schools when their current form were made to produce workers. You know what I mean? They're produced to like factory lines. You go through, you learn how to take orders, and you come out a good soldier, a good worker. They're not there to create bosses. They want you to go into the corporate world and be a good worker. And that's what they teach you to do. Otherwise, why the fuck else? Why wouldn't they teach you about credit? Why wouldn't they teach you about taxes?
Because they don't want you to do or learn so much so that you become a boss.
Yeah, exactly. And also I feel like if they taught you how taxes really worked when you were still young enough to think about it and do something about it, everybody would fucking revolt. You know what I mean? You don't learn the taxes until it's too late, until you're trapped in the system and all of a sudden the government takes half your money. But we won't get into that. We don't want to get shadow banned quite yet. But so now you're in 8th grade. You learn the hard way that you're underprepared for this sport. You're fully invested into it. And this is the birth of your soon-to-be MMA career. You don't know it yet at this point. But this is the baby steps that get you into where you're at now. So now you go into high school. Freeport also, correct?
Yeah.
And you wrestle for Freeport, I'm sure.
Yes.
And you're still doing year-round the tournaments and the other styles.
Of course.
So how quickly did you get to varsity?
My freshman year.
9th grade.
So my freshman year.
And what weight class?
One of the team captains, Bobby, which is a Freeport police officer now. I apologize if you hear this. And I apologize if people you arrest hear this. But my teammate Bobby, he was the starting person at my weight class.
Which is what?
My freshman year is 112 and 119. And so I wrestled him off and then beat him for the spot. So he bumped up to 119. He was a senior. I was a freshman. And he hated me for it.
I'm sure.
And I disliked myself for it too, because I felt like as a senior, you should have had that spot. But it's where you learn that all men are not created equal.
That's meritocracy. The best man wins.
Not all people are created equal.
That's why sports is a great equalizer.
Bro, one of my, we were talking about this the other day. You look at field day now. Field day is not field day now.
I'm appreciation day. Oh God, get out of here.
And so what happens is when
everyone gets a trophy.
You're a year older than me, so you're 33. I'm 32. When we were in middle school, what happened was we would line up against each other and we'd race. And if you were faster than me,
you win.
You got a first place ribbon. I got a second place ribbon, and David got a third place ribbon, and it would go like that. But in this day and age, you get a participation ribbon, I get a participation ribbon, and David get a participation ribbon. So all of us are fucking equal when we shouldn't be.
What's the point of even racing?
When we fucking shouldn't be. And it's irritating because at the end of the day, not everybody can do everything. And it's natural that we shouldn't be able to do it. You're stronger than me. You can lift more than me. Therefore, I shouldn't be in charge of lifting things because I can't lift as much as you can.
And vice versa.
You understand what I'm saying?
We all have our skill sets.
I'm faster than you. You shouldn't be in charge of...
Do you want a racetrack?
I shouldn't be able to be in charge of people in charge of running at a fast pace because I'm not there yet. You're faster than I am.
I mean, only figure that out through competition.
And so it throws people off. And so what happens is everybody nowadays get a ribbon of participation instead of a ribbon of competition. And it makes people feel like they're on even keel when they're really not. They're really not. They're really not. And it's so irritating. And it's like I have a child now. I have a daughter. And if she was to run a race, which she's running her first race next weekend, should she lose and she get a participation ribbon, I'm going to tell her that ribbon is bullshit.
Yeah, we're not taking that home.
That ribbon is bullshit.
That stays here.
And she's going to be like, but daddy, I won this. I'm like, no, you didn't win that. They gave that to you because you came here. Anybody that came here could have done it, whether they were fast, slow, or indifferent. They would have gotten that ribbon because they came here. It doesn't mean anything substantial.
Yeah, we're going down a weird path of society right now where that's normal. And I understand, and like most things, it comes from a good place, because I think a lot of people who make these rules, they grew up not getting those first place ribbons, and they grow up bitter getting those bronzes and getting those fourth place or not getting ribbon at all, whatever it is. And they don't want their kids to experience the same thing. But they got to look at it like everybody's good at different shit. The kid who wins the race might not end up being the best businessman outside of school, or the smartest kid in the classroom. Everybody's good at different things. And it just seems like for some reason with sports, of all things, which is the great equalizer, like there's no better meritocracy than sports. The best person gets the job. But nowadays we're watering it down. And again, it's like this week, right? And I don't mean to take anything away from females. There's a reason why there's male sports and female sports. We're physically built different. If that's controversial to you, I'm sorry, you're a dumbass.
Can I interject?
Sure.
I don't like to cut people off, and I don't like to interrupt people.
No, it's a conversation, bro. You're good.
But if you're sitting there and your house catches on fire, and you have a 200-pound man that's in shape and that's adequate to carry you and another family member out of a burning building, and then go back inside and grab another person and another family member out of a burning building.
Yeah, preach equality.
Would you want them to be present of the time of catastrophe, or would you want a 105-pound female
who can't
barely carry a bag of rice, but because she feels like she belongs there, because she's in shape, she can run a mile in a decent time, she can lift 45 pounds, a questionable amount of times? Would you want her there because she feels like she should be there?
Yeah, no.
And it all boils down to it. Like, if my life and my children's life was on the line,
you want the best man for the job.
I would want the best person for the job.
And that's the problem right now. That's what I was going back to my point, is we're talking about, and again, nothing against this woman at all, because I'm sure at her job and at her sport, she's amazing. So at Vanderbilt this week, did you see that, the female kicker?
Yeah, I've seen that.
Okay, so now we're talking about a girl who is exceptional at her sport. I believe she's a soccer player, and she's at a D1 school, and I'm imagining she's on a scholarship, and I'm imagining she's probably exceptional women's soccer player. So there's not a knock on her in the slightest bit. But the Vanderbilt football team, men's football team, took her on as a kicker. And they're 0-8. They lost this game by God knows how many points. They put her in for one kick at halftime to kick off. She squibbed the ball. I do not believe it was on purpose, for about 30 yards and sprinted off the field before anybody could touch her. And they talk about this fucking girl as if she shattered the color barrier, as if she's the new Jackie Robinson. She's not. This is a participation trophy escalating, like I said earlier before off camera, little monsters become big monsters. So in intramural leagues, we have participation trophies. Now on an NCAA level, in a top 5 division in men's football, we have a female soccer player stepping onto the field to make what appears to be a shitty kick, and everybody clapping it up like it's some kind of march towards justice and equality and whatnot. And I just feel like that's setting up an unrealistic expectation, and it just doesn't make sense to me. This girl could not make any. I don't want to get too tough on her.
Here's the thing. That door opens up more doors. And if you're a woman and you're listening to this and you're saying, fuck Jonny, he's a sexist, he's a chauvinist, and he doesn't understand that women can do any and everything that a man could do, then I'm all for you. I'm all for you. Understand that Dre is against Jonny, and I'm all for you. But in saying that, understand that I'm all for you in regards that if you have a point guard that's in the NBA, not the WNBA, that's in the NBA, and they're very good, they're fucking talented, that LeBron James now is going to be guarding them, you have to be all right with that. You have to be all right with one of the best defenders in the NBA history. And I'm not a LeBron James fan. I'm not a LeBron James fan.
Was the point guard.
But if LeBron James was defending them, You can't be upset that he's bigger. You can't be upset that he's stronger. You can't be upset that he's faster. You can't be upset for any reason because she belongs there and he belongs there. And may the best person, not the best man, not the best woman, but may the best person win that.
Well, that's my point. I think that you're not doing women any justice by putting them in that league. That's the reason for separate leagues, because let women compete with their own, because that's where it's fair. And you know what I mean? I if a girl on merit base alone, like let's just say we were blindfolded or whatever, we were blind to genders, and she did a better job than the person who's a male doing that job, put her on the fucking field. I am all for a woman who's talented enough to be there, being there. I don't give a fuck what's between your legs. If you can kick the ball through the uprights or on a kickoff or be quarterback or run back, whatever, any sport, if you're good enough, I don't care what your gender or what you associate or what you claim to be is. That doesn't matter to me. However, if you're going to bend the rules for the sake of whatever social justice you think is benefiting from this, I don't think you're doing any justice to the cause you think you're actually benefiting.
Let's not say bend. Let's say adjust. If you adjust the rules, if I have an A-star quarterback that's throwing touchdown pass after touchdown pass, and you feel as though she would be just as effective in the men's game as she is in the women's game, then by all means you are acceptable to that right.
But when does that
You're
happen?
acceptable to that privilege. But understand, when you have a 350-pound man,
when she gets sacked,
that's very aggressive, and that does not care whether he's hitting a woman, a man, or a child. He's going to hit them as hard as God is providing him to hit them. Then you have to be okay with that.
And I'm not.
You can't say that. All right,
I wouldn't be comfortable watching
it's a woman throwing the ball, so you have to hit a little light. You cannot dim him down so that she can feel more comfortable. You can't do that. That's not fair to him now.
And I know we're going to get into...
if you're going to be big, if you're going to be fair, you can't be fair to just the woman. You have to be fair to the man as well.
That's right.
So if he's going to light that male QB up, he has to be allowed to light that female QB up as well.
And are you okay with that?
And if you're okay with that,
I don't think I am.
And if you are okay with that being the female QB, then by all means do what the fuck you got to do. But if you're not okay with that, then you have to understand that there's different leagues for different reasons. Yeah. It's not saying that you're better or worse. It's just saying that shit is different. Women aren't naturally going to 350 pounds filled with testosterone, ready to fucking behead somebody on a kickoff.
No.
It's not the same thing.
No, but that's a product of this participation trophy culture that we have.
And that's what happens.
And that's why I like fighting so much, is because, well, other than a few caveats of there were a couple of transgender athletes that crossed over and caused some ruckus. But for the most part, I don't think anybody would be cool with a guy, let's say you fight at 145 pounds, correct?
Talk to me.
Now, who's 145 pounds that's formidable in women? Is that Nunes? 145?
Yeah, Nunes, yeah.
She's a tough woman. She's maybe the toughest woman to ever walk the earth, right?
I would agree.
Right? She might be. She beat
everybody.
Yeah. Cyborg,
Holly Holm,
Rousey, right? She beat everybody.
Everybody.
So she's pretty much the toughest woman that ever lived. However, I do not believe she would even make an unranked roster in any of the major fight leagues for men's. Correct? Fair?
I'd agree.
And that's no knock on her. She's the baddest woman to ever walk the earth. And I think that she's probably reasonable enough to understand what we're saying. So I don't think, in fact, she probably kicked my ass. So I no beef with you. What I'm saying is she probably understands this. But people whose ideas, unfortunately, don't actually make traction in the real world, who sound great in your head, but when they're put into action, don't actually play out, they fuck things up. Because I think Cyborg knows that. I think that Nunes knows that. Holly Holm knows that. Ronda Rousey, every female fighter knows, because they spar with these guys and they train with these guys in the gyms. They know what they're capable of and what they're not. But you have these social justice warriors out there who want to make it seem like everything's equal and we should all. But it's just not like that.
Yeah, what it is I think social media demonizes all of us. It makes us feel right is wrong and wrong is right.
What do you mean by that?
it makes you feel like things that you think is right is wrong, and what's wrong is right. And so
gaslighting, that's called.
Gaslighting?
Yeah, there's a term called gaslighting. I hope I'm getting this right. Everything I say now is on record, so I got to be right every time, which is tough.
Educate me. I want to learn.
Oh, fuck. I hope I'm educating you correctly. I'm not giving you misinformation. They might fucking put a little warning underneath me.
Put a little asterisk on it.
They might fact check me. But I believe gaslighting, Joey, if you can please Google this. Gaslighting is basically when they put out these ideas that are wrong so often that you start thinking you're crazy because you don't agree with them. What does it mean? He says, what does the term gaslighting mean? Underneath, people ask. You scroll down a little bit to the bottom of the page. You see it? Yeah. What does the term gaslighting mean, somebody? Psychological manipulation in which a person seeks to sow seeds of doubt in targeted individuals or members of a targeted group, making them question their own memory, perception, or sanity, which is definitely what's going on right now. You see shit going on, and you're like, I saw it with my own eyes. That's not how it went down. That's not how it should be interpreted. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of what's going on here. It's like, men are women, women are men. Listen, I'm all for individual sovereignty. You do whatever you want to do with your own life and your own body. Go at it. I am no one to tell you what to do with your life or your body. However, if you're going to start just picking and choosing when science and reality applies and when it doesn't, you lost me. And you lost me. There has to be a logical thread to your opinion.
If you pick and choose, then it's not authentic.
You can't respect it.
You know what I mean? You can't pick and choose in your favor. It's either it is or it isn't. And
it's not when you choose. It's principles or it's not.
Exactly. And so that's one of my biggest, I'm not sure if we can even get into that in this particular discussion, but that's one of my biggest discussion with religion, with politics, with everything. Like, you're either one way or you aren't. Like, was it Ted Van Gundy? One of the best football coaches. You are who you are. If a person is a
Van Gundy was basketball.
Van Gundy's basketball?
Van Gundy was the Knicks coach.
Knicks coach. All right, so I'm thinking of a football coach.
Lombardi?
Yeah,
Vince Lombardi.
Vince Lombardi. You are who you are. If you're a brute, everything you do is done in a brutish way. You make your bed, you do it aggressively. If you wash dishes, you do it aggressively. You are a brute. You know what I mean? And if you do things in a different light, you do everything in that different light. It is what it is.
Do you think you carry the fighter mentality into everything you do in your life?
You don't have a choice. You don't have a choice. You are who you are. And so for me,
you define yourself first as, obviously you're a father, obviously you're a husband, obviously you have other things, but to your core identity, do you think that your fighter is the number that defines you?
I am who I am. And I tell my wife this, I tell my daughter this, I tell anybody this. I am who I am. Like, my initial instinct, anytime something goes wrong, is to hurt somebody. And it's not that I'm an asshole. I'm not trying to be a tough guy. The last thing I want to do is hurt somebody.
Yeah.
Which is what conflicts me. I don't want to hurt you. I like you. I don't want to hurt you. But if it's a choice between you and my child, I have no choice.
Oh, yeah.
I have to hurt you.
Yeah.
If it's a choice between you and my wife, I don't have no choice.
Yeah.
My mind doesn't work a way where it can separate between the two. I have to hurt you. We gotta do another one, man.
What?
Gotta do one more.
What?
We'll
do this shit fucking once a month if you want.
Talk to me like that. I'd be.
You watch Joe Rogan show?
Yeah.
He does the MMA episodes.
Yeah.
Where he has like the fucking he does the live ones.
Mm-hmm.
We can do like recaps of fights. We get into it, and even if you have other fighters too, we can go do multiple of us.
I'm
like game. Bring in Jon, bring in fucking whoever, and we'll fucking
bring in Fat Boy.
Yeah, we'll break down the fights.
I'm game. Jon don't know shit about fights.
Yeah, he's just a fucking freak athlete, basically.
Not even. He's.
You don't think he's a freak athlete?
No.
I mean, he was All-American in football and wrestling, no?
No, he's not a freak athlete.
He's a freak athlete.
Nah.
You don't think so?
No.
Why? How the hell does he get? How's he become at?
He's athletic for his size and his build, but he's not a freak athlete.
Well, for someone
defines freak athlete.
well, that's what I'm saying. Because like for his size, he's super coordinated. Like, which is like unusual
not
for a white guy that big.
No, he's not super coordinated. Define freak athlete for me.
Someone who's all something in two sports.
If you were telling me right now, I'm coming over here not for the podcast, but because you said, Dre, I got a boy that fights and he's a fucking freak athlete, what would you tell me? Go.
I'd be like, his athletic skills are off the charts. Fucking jumping, strength, speed, power, all that stuff is off the charts.
Do he understand fight?
No. To be a freak athlete, you don't need to understand fighting.
You don't.
That's two different things.
Very true. Very, very true. So you're telling me that he's a freak athlete because he can jump, run fast,
he has freak athleticism.
What do you mean, freak athleticism?
Like he's big motherfucker who can move. He's athletic. He can jump. Those athletic attributes. He's fast. He's strong. He's explosive.
Has he done any sports before?
Who are we talking about? Gian or some random human being?
Random. You telling me freak athlete? Give me a question mark in your brain. Has he done any sports before?
Yeah, definitely.
What do he do?
If a freak athlete, he had to have excelled extreme in at least one sport.
What do you do?
He had to have been like, all county at one sport or whatever.
Give it to me. Create something in your mind right now on the
football. He has to be very good at multiple sports.
Create something right now in your mind.
You're a freak athlete.
What? No, not me.
You are.
You tell me right now. You're creating something on your.
There's levels, right? Well, there's levels, right? There's levels, right?
Hold on. Pretend right now you're on a video game.
Okay.
And you create something.
Well, that's what I'm saying. This guy's just 99 and everything.
99.
That's the elite. That's Odell Beckham Jr.
What sport did he play? What sport did he play?
Doesn't matter.
Yes, it does.
No, because there's freak athletes in every sport. Like Mike Trout, freak baseball player, right? Odell Beckham Jr.,
so
freak football player.
Right now, you're telling me you have a freak athlete. What sport did he play?
There's multiple. It could be anything.
Well, which one is it?
This imaginary person?
This imaginary person. Let's say his name is Jerry.
Football. Jerry, the football player.
What position?
Running back.
Running back. All right. So the reason why I say that is because depending on the person, they're accustomed to certain things. So if you're a running back, you're accustomed to contact. Mm-hmm. You're accustomed because every time you get the ball, you're running into somebody. You're accustomed to contact. Certain people may not be accustomed to that. So they may not be willing to engage in that. I'm not saying
specifically in fighting.
Neither am I.
Okay.
But I'm a fighter, so I'm going to relate it back to that.
I'm saying when I think of a freak athlete, I think of somebody who's genetically gifted to be fast, strong, explosive, like just super unusually athletic. Just in general.
But we all know people like that.
Yeah, 100%.
That haven't made it.
Oh, definitely. For sure.
And I would never forget, there was a dude. I don't want to say
the best freak athletes are usually not the most skilled because they end up relying on their athleticism too much and they don't work hard. Most of the time, the greatest of greats have both, right? Like LeBron James, right? Or, they're freak athlete and their work ethic is off the charts. But a lot of times you get people like a fucking, I don't know, name a person, JaVale McGee, who's a fucking 6'11".
No, go right
in. Jump to the top of the backboard, but he doesn't
go right into it. Michael Jordan.
Well, he's got both.
Michael Jordan was a freak athlete.
Freak athlete and a work ethic.
But his work ethic was second to nobody. Yeah. Who worked harder than Jordan?
Nobody.
Maybe
Kobe.
No, nobody. No, yo, I'm going to tell you my personal experience. And maybe it's wrong. All right? I'll give you that. Maybe it's wrong. But I grew up in a household where we didn't watch basketball. We didn't watch football. We didn't watch soccer. We didn't watch anything athletic.
Keep this by you.
Right? And so, when I heard about people like Jordan, people wearing new Jordans, I was like, fuck, I want to be like him, man. It's a bad dude. He got his own shoe.
Yeah.
How could he not be a bad dude? He has his own shoe. And you sit up there and you watch this dude and then when you flip back onto the back screen, you see how many shots he shot prior to games. You see how many shots he shot in the preseason, in the off season, during practice.
And you see those mythical stories of like Tim and Kobe, where like someone will go try to show up earlier before him, 4 hours before a game, and he's already there.
He's already there. And so you hear these things and you're like, yo, was this dude really like this? And they really were.
Yeah.
They really were. Like, the grades are
that great.
different, man.
So I believe it was Leonardo da Vinci. I'm pretty sure that was or Michelangelo. Forgive me, I don't know, one of the fucking Ninja Turtles, but one of the real Italian fucking artists. And it was said, someone asked him, how he became so great, and he said, "If you knew how hard I worked at my craft, it wouldn't be like so impressive as how great I am. If you knew how much work I put into it." And that always struck me. I'm definitely butchering the fuck out of the quote, but that's the general theme
consensus.
Of it. Yeah, that's the gist of it, right? Like, if you saw the hours that I put into it, you would realize it's not some fucking magic. It's hard fucking work.
So right now, at this very moment, me and you are speaking, I pride myself on being out of my gym. I'm one of the best people overall. And one of the things that makes me one of the best people overall, one of the best athletes overall, is my cardio. I'm able to push a pace that most people can't deal with.
For a long period of time.
For a very long period of time, over 15 to 25 minutes. And the reason why...
Can I dive into that before you get into that real quick?
Go ahead,
I'm very curious, actually. Like, this is something like I'm dying to know. You train for a fight, right?
Mm-hmm.
In PFL, I'm assuming it's same as UFC. It's 5-minute rounds, and it's 3 or 5 rounds, depending if it's a title fight or not. Okay, so now worst case scenario or best case scenario, I guess when you look at it, a title fight, you're looking at 25 minutes of fight time. Only it's a minute between rounds, right? So you have 5 minutes. You have 25 minutes of fighting over a 30-minute period, or is it 29 minutes?
No, you had it.
Okay. No, because you only get in between rounds 1 and 2, 2 and 3, 3 and 4, 4 minutes. So you only get 4 minutes of rest.
29 minutes.
29 minutes, 25 minutes of fighting. When you're preparing for a fight and you're fighting at a championship level for 25 out of 29 minutes, when you're training, what do you prepare for? Because I always hear people say, like, you train hard to fight easy. Obviously, that's an oversimplification, but when you're training for a 25-minute fight, how many rounds are you comfortable for before you run? Like, are you comfortable for a 40-minute fight, for a 25-minute fight? Like, what do you prepare for?
You have to be. What you do is you prepare for an extra round or two during that duration of period, and in that you have the same break as a regular person would, which is 1 minute.
So you're prepared for a 30 or 35-minute fight before you go for a 25-minute fight. Yeah,
you have to be. Jesus. And it's rough. Like, the preparation for it is rough. I know for myself, I have 4 or 5 fresh people that are willing to get in there
and rotate,
and they're rotating to fuck me up during that time frame. And in my mind, the first 2 sparring sessions, I'm like, I'm not getting fucked up. As a man, I can't let another man come in there and just dominate me, because it wouldn't feel right.
You got your ego.
Yeah. I don't know if it's so much
in a good way. Ego can be good and bad. And for a fighter, you need to have an ego, otherwise you won't be able to push yourself.
1000%. But even more of a genetical sense, Johnny, you as a man can't let another man dominate you.
No, you got to kill me
because you're a man.
Or I'm gonna die trying.
Imagine if I walked into your house and I told you, bro, fix me a fucking sandwich or I'm fucking you up. You would look at me like I'm crazy. You'd be like, fix what?
I've seen you fight, so I'd have to my only thought would be, which gun do I grab?
1000%. Yeah. And you know why you would say, which gun do you grab? Because as a man, as a grown-ass man, another man can't just walk into your place of domain and just tell you what to do, and you just concede with it. It doesn't make sense to you.
Not all people like that.
Not all people like that.
But we're not like that.
But we're not like that.
No.
That's perfectly printed. And so, in that, it's just rough. You know what I mean? And so,
so you got a fight coming up, right? Now, you don't right now. I'm just saying theoretically, right? Because no one wants to fight you anymore.
Unfortunately.
That's what it breaks down to. We're going to put out an open fucking invitation, because it seems like everybody's ducking my boy Dre right now. And for good reason. But in the time right now where we're at, where there's less and less fights because of whatever craziness is going on out there, Dre wants a fucking fight. And everybody keeps bailing on him. Everybody keeps bailing. Nobody wants to fight Dre. And you could decide on your own what that means or why that is. But you're preparing for this theoretical next fight, right? Let's just say some person decides to take you up on that offer.
Ugh.
And the fight's in however long it is. Take me through a fight camp. This is the shit that people don't know, and I personally don't know the intricacies of. I want to know. So now, how long out before your scheduled fight, do you start training up to the point where you're in camp, right? Camp and regular training. You're training hard year round. I know you. There's never like a slack day, but there's a difference between your training to polish your skills and you're training for a fight, right? How long out before a fight do you start getting to camp?
So for the people listening at home, I want you to know and understand that at this very moment, I'm drinking some whiskey. And if you're listening at this very moment, I want you to grab your glass and I want you to have some whiskey in it and just indulge with me, right? So I want you to picture that your livelihood factors in on this next fight. So if you win,
it could be your last.
If you win, you get substantial amount of money. And if you lose, you get half of that. And you're only able.
But I get another fight.
It doesn't matter if you lose bad, good, or indifferent. If you lose, you only get half of that.
But even worse than that, you could also endanger your possibility of getting another fight.
Very much.
There's a lot on the line,
right? And so you completely engulf yourself in a position that you're gonna win. You're gonna do well and prosper and all that good stuff that you see in folklore and movies. And you go in and you train every single day.
How long? How long is the camp?
So camp is anywhere from 6 to 9 weeks.
Okay.
Right?
And now you fight at 145.
I fight at 145. And so in those 6 to 9 weeks.
I'm sorry, let me cut you off. I told you before, you look bigger than I've seen you of late. I know it's been a little bit of, you haven't fought in almost a year, not because of your own choice. So you have had time to pack on some muscle. What do you walk around at right now?
I walk around right now at 172.
172, 145. So you got 27 pounds to lose?
In and about that, yeah.
Okay. So you start camp, you got 27 pounds to lose, you got 6 to 9 weeks to get there. How often are you training in those 6 to 9 weeks? Is it every single day? Obviously, right?
Me personally, in order for me to keep my sanity and feel as a good man, I train every single day.
Regardless?
No matter if I have an opponent or not, whether there's an opportunity or not, I train every single day because that's what makes me feel good.
Stay ready, so I don't have to get ready.
Not even so much as the fact of staying ready. It's just me doing something that I know that would benefit me in the end result. It just makes me feel better. And if I don't do that, then I don't feel good. And if I don't feel good, then it's a fucked up day. Why have fucked up days? Like, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, you're in control of that. And every day you're making progress towards your goal. That's the most important. You're goal driven. Like you said, when you were fucking in 7th grade, you wanted that medal. And now it's the same thing. You're goal driven and you just want to get better every single day. So you will.
Nothing changes. Nothing changes.
So now you're 9 weeks out, right? So you train every day anyway. So what changes when camp starts?
When camp starts, I understand and I know that certain things that you ingest in your body affects how you perform.
So it's diet.
And so I know and I understand that if I eat a slice of pizza, that's not going to benefit me. So I know instead of eating that, I might have some brown rice, some grilled chicken, and I'll go from there. And so it's more like I switch my diet up, which is not very difficult to me because I don't eat seafood. I don't eat X. I don't eat Y. I don't eat Z. It's just chicken and it's just steak. So 2 or 3 nights out the week, it's chicken. And then 1 night out the week, it's steak. So for me, it's very simple.
It's chicken or steak and rice every day.
Every single day.
So you're super disciplined off the rip.
And I have terrible taste buds. And so for me, what I mean by is something that may be delicious to other people, to me is just regular shit. And
so it makes it easier for you to diet, you're saying?
Yeah, because something that might be terrible to other people, to me is just regular shit. It's rice. It's rice. What the fuck do I care what's on the rice?
I love rice personally.
Yeah.
People look at me like I'm a weirdo. I eat rice like fucking cereal. I'll put a spoon in a fucking bowl with some white rice. I eat that shit all day.
I have to
rice.
force myself to eat rice.
Really?
Yeah,
I
because
love rice.
I don't give a fuck if it's white or brown.
Have Asian in my fucking heritage somewhere. I love rice.
It doesn't matter to me whether it's white or brown. It's rice. I don't give a fuck.
I prefer white.
I only know that I need to eat it because rice is a carb and it has fiber in it. So I know if I eat brown,
we're slow absorbing depending if it's white or brown. But yeah.
So to me, that's the only reason why I eat
cleanest carb there is.
Outside of that, I don't really give a fuck. Like, what difference does it make to me eating that? It doesn't matter.
From 6 to 9 weeks out, you start tapering the diet down to be cleaner, less cheat meals, if any, and then you start eating. You start honing in the diet, so your weight, I'm imagining, starts decreasing as you get closer to the fight. Training stays the same. Does it intensify? What happens?
Yeah, exactly. It stays the same.
So you're training the same.
All the
sparring change.
The only thing is, I may spar 2 and 3 times a week as opposed to 1 and 2 times.
Okay, so sparring increases, diet tightens, weight starts to go down.
Water intake.
Okay, you increase water intake. I'm assuming.
I think one of the things as a misconception for people is water intake. When you're ingesting enough water, your body goes into a panic and it says, yo, we're getting too much water. And it starts to flush everything out. All the waste products, all the things that you don't need, it gets flushed out. I
said now my coach is probably going to be screaming if he fucking listens to this. So Paul, hope you are listening. And I'm sorry for letting you down. There's a hormone that gets released. And I'm trying to remember what the fuck it's called.
I don't remember.
Aldactone?
I don't know.
Is that I don't know. Might be diuretic. Whatever it is, your body starts to get used to, accommodated to a certain amount of water.
Secrete.
So the water manipulation is huge. So I did this when I did bodybuilding competitions. You would take in 2-3 gallons when it comes close to it, and then you stop taking in the water, and your body keeps pissing as if you're taking all that water in, and you just shed all the water weight, and you can lose. So now you start out 27 pounds out, 25 pounds out, whatever it is. You're getting closer to the fight. When do you start fucking with the water?
The day before.
So now a day before, how close to the weight are you? Your target weight?
So a couple of days out, you're going a gallon, then you go 3/4, and then you go half, then you go 1/4 gallon, and then you go to restricting for like 1 or 2 bottles of water.
Oh wow! So that's different in bodybuilding for sure. I'm sure I still performance. In bodybuilding, it's more. It's like 2 gallons a day, and then you go up, and the day before you cut it. You get to weigh in the day before, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so now you start 5 days out fucking with the water. How many pounds over your target weigh-in weight are you at that point? Ideally,
8 to 10.
8 to 10 pounds. So you're 153, 155, 5 days out. That's if camp's going great, and then you're right on point. And you start fucking with the water. And the last day is when you shed the most of that weight.
You shed all of that. You come down
in a sauna.
You're 1 foot. I never go in a sauna. I hate the sauna.
Really?
Yeah, it just makes me feel so
weak,
depreciated and weak that I was just like, I don't want to do it.
Deflates you, right?
Yeah, and so I run it, I bike it, and I shadow box it off. And then when all the weight is gone, I'm like, yo, fuck this. I made weight like a fucking grown-ass man with my nuts between my legs.
Do you wear the sauna suits?
Yeah, I do. And then I'm done, and then I weigh in, and I get off the scale, and I'm like, all right,
let me eat now.
Hydrate.
What's that first meal for you every time?
Every single time is egg whites.
It's a ritual, I know.
Turkey bacon, yogurt, oatmeal, with a little bit of peanut butter, and some coffee.
And to a lot of normal people that sounds gross, but to us meatheads, that sounds delicious.
That's like sex on the beach.
Yeah,
on a romantic private beach. You can't really get too much better than that.
Nah,
and so you enjoy that, and then you go to sleep,
and you drink again, and you're drinking liquids again.
I drink at least a gallon by the time it's 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. I already had a gallon of water in.
That's what people understand. So people get very confused who aren't used to weight cutting or wrestling backgrounds or fighting backgrounds or bodybuilding backgrounds. When there's a weight class, that weight you're at is super artificial and you're at for a very, very short duration of time. My bodybuilding competition, my first one, I was 176 weigh-in. Second one was under 198. But by the time you're on stage, I mean, you're at least 10 pounds. And bodybuilding is the same day. You're at least 10, 15 pounds heavy, 10 pounds heavier. In fighting, you have a whole day. I've heard people going up 20, 30 pounds.
Easily.
By the time the next day comes, because you're so depleted when you weigh in, you have no water in you. And how much is a gallon of water weigh?
8 pounds.
So 8 pounds for a gallon of water. You drink a gallon of water, it's 8 pounds plus all the oatmeal and egg whites and everything you just ate.
Turkey bacon.
Don't forget the turkey bacon. Now you're easily 15, 20 pounds heavier. So when you see a title fight and you're seeing people come in for the 145-pound title, mind you, Dre's 160, 165 in that cage. That 145 is for a blip of a second getting onto the fucking scale when he's feeling his lowest. That makes the weight, recharges, refuels. The next day he goes to fight. Super interesting and super dangerous sometimes.
Very.
And people sometimes cut too much weight, fucks with the performance. You come in there, you cut too much weight too fast, or you try to cut it all at the end, and that's when the sauna comes into play. A lot of people have to make it up and cheat at the very end.
If you look at Justin Gaethje, when he went out there and he fought to unify the title against Khabib in the last fight, me personally, I feel like he had an adrenaline dump going out there, and he had nothing left in the gas tank, and he couldn't really fend him off because of that. Not saying that he would have won instead, but it led him wide open to get dealt with.
Do you think it was a weight cut?
He had nothing else to defend himself against.
Was that why? Because of the weight cut, you think? The
weight cut, pressure, everything.
He didn't look like himself that day.
Not at all.
He looked very off. He's usually so confident, and he just looked lost that day. I mean, I know Khabib's a different animal, but still, he didn't look like himself at all.
At all. He didn't throw like he typically would. He threw, 1 or 2 leg kicks? Nothing there was the same as if he was in a normal fight. It didn't look the same as when he fought Tony Ferguson.
He dominated Ferguson.
He destroyed him.
That was so impressive.
But he gets in there with Khabib, and he was just...
Could it be Khabib's just that good?
It could be, but I would like to think it's more so of the fact that he just everything else get the better of him. He was just nervous. He was scared.
Where was that fight? Was that Vegas or was that Abu Dhabi?
Vegas.
It was in Vegas?
I think so, yeah.
I mean, Khabib is a different animal.
He's a beast.
I've never seen anybody. I mean, I've been following MMA for a long time. Obviously, like I said, not to the extent that you have, but or your knowledge of it is. I've been an adamant fan since the early mid 2000s. I've never seen somebody dominate. He's only lost. I want to say he lost 1 round in the UFC, and that was to Conor in a fight that he finished him. You know what I mean?
Destroyed him.
So Conor was the biggest star in MMA at that point. So I mean, we've never seen domination like that, pound for pound. It's hard to make an argument. Other than Jon Jones, I don't really know if there's anybody else in this category.
I've seen Jon Jones weigh in on that discussion, and unfortunately,
he don't like the Khabib talk.
No,
I don't blame him.
I have to agree with Jon Jones because
he beat the fuck out of Khabib.
Not only just he would beat Khabib, but if you look at the competition that Jones has faced since he came in the UFC versus...
He became champion at 21 or some shit?
You know what I mean?
And he defended the title 10 times.
Jones
Shogun
faced legacy, Hall of Famers, and beat them badly.
Joey, can you pull up... Go to Jon Jones. Type in Google Jon Jones Sherdog, Sherdog. I want to see the list of people that Jon Jones has beat.
It's bad. Man.
Excuse me. People who don't know who Jon Jones is. Jon Jones at this point is basically the Michael Jordan, LeBron James, depending on how old you are, of
funny
fighting.
Story. When I was in junior college, I wrestled at Nassau Community College. Jon Jones wrestled at Iowa Central. And one year we're sitting there and we're playing around and fooling around with Iowa.
Scroll down. You see Sherdog right there? John on the bottom. Jon Jones. Yep. Up one.
we're sitting there and we're tossing around and fooling around with Jon Jones at Iowa Central, and
between matches, like
before the tournament started.
Okay.
And it turned out to be a big ass fight. And everybody came off the
like a real fight?
A real fight. Everybody came off the bench. People were socking people left and right. When
Nassau
Jon Jones, not even just Nassau versus Iowa, was like everybody like jumping in. Like
a brawl broke out.
A big ass brawl broke out. Fucking Jon Jones, when he jumped off the bench, he and I will, I will openly say he is who he is. That motherfucker was taking people out left, right, and center, and he was a bad boy.
The best motherfucker on the planet.
That way from then, and he's still that person right now. He's not scared of anybody.
Nobody.
He is who he is.
The baddest man on the planet. I mean, people give Tyson that. Okay, so here we go. Here's Jon Jones' record. He's 26-1, but mind you, the one loss was him dominating somebody and getting DQ'd from, I believe, a north-south elbow, right?
An illegal elbow,
yeah. Yeah, an illegal elbow as the guy was cowering and he was beating the shit out of him. So, I mean, take that with a grain of salt. Scroll down. Let's see the list of people he beat. Dominic Reyes, Diego Santos, Anthony Smith. Those were his least impressive wins most recently. Alexander Gustafsson, who by all accounts is one of the baddest men to ever walk the earth. Daniel Cormier, an Olympic medalist, baddest man, one of the best people ever walked the earth. Ovin St. Preux, absolute animal. Daniel Cormier, second time. Glover Teixeira, animal. Gustafsson, a second time. Chael Sonnen, who I think before Conor had all the records for UFC gates and pay-per-view buys. Vitor Belfort, Brazilian legend. Rashad Evans, legend. Lyoto Machida, legend. Quentin Rampage Jackson, legend. Mauricio Shogun Ruin, legend. Ryan Bader, legend. I mean, these are all title fights. He defended the title every time.
Those last 4 and 5 people that you mentioned all held the UFC heavyweight belt.
They're Hall of Famers.
So they held the belt. They're Hall of Famers. Like, they're not average people.
No, and he handled them. If you see what round he won in those fights, it's 1, 2, 3. He finished these people. It wasn't like it went to the scorecard and the judges said, I think, yeah. I mean, he fucking finished these people.
It's a bad boy.
Yeah, I mean, he's the GOAT for sure. Khabib, I think, came up at a different time. It has to be an adjustment, right? Because he didn't fight the level of competition as far as ranks goes. But at the same time, the sport's getting better year by year, no? The competition in the talent pool goes up every year. So people most recently have to get an edge in that standpoint. I still give Jones number 1, but Khabib is a different animal. Those Dagestanis, man, those mountain people of those little satellite countries outside of fucking the Soviet Union that dispersed from Russia. I mean, those people are just built different. They just know nothing else but warrior culture.
Pretty much. There's some bad people, man. They fucking come with a different pedigree of wrestling, with striking. They come with a different pedigree of toughness.
From childhood. They're wrestling from as soon as they can walk, they're wrestling.
Exactly. And so they're ready to stick it out no matter what. And, unless you come with that, I'm either going to win or die mentality.
Don't get in the ring with them.
You can't be in there with them.
Man, it's interesting now, though, because I remember growing up as a kid and Long Island got a bad rep because when we were kids, Long Island was a place that people from the boroughs moved out from. And everybody in this room, myself, you, and Joe, all came from the boroughs, right? My family's all from Brooklyn. I was born in Rockaway, East New York. Joe is Sheepshead Bay, moved around in Brooklyn also. It was kind of like when your family had a little bit of money, you came to Long Island, got out of the boroughs. Things have changed, though. It's not the 70s or 80s no more, where like Long Island's this soft vacation spot. Long Island's got killers now. And like, shout out to your coach, Keith Trimble, Belmore Kickboxing Academy. I mean, you can walk. I mean, I could walk a few miles from where we are right now and be in a room full of absolute world-class killers. Belmore Kickboxing Academy is lined from wall to wall with accoladed champions. I mean, you're there. Keith's obviously a world-class striking coach. Gian Vellante trains there. Gregor Gillespie trains there.
Adam Kolanowski.
Adam, world-class boxer, heavyweight champion, right? Who else is at that gym?
You had Ryan LaFleur, Dennis Bermudez.
Shout out Ryan LaFleur, Dennis Bermudez. I mean, these are bad motherfuckers. I mean, Long Island's become a real staple in MMA worldwide. I mean, there aren't many places in the world with a higher density population of savages as Long Island, and I'm proud to be from Long Island because of that. Ali Aquinta's from Long Island. Chris Weidman's from Long Island. Aljamain Sterling is from Long Island. Who's the Russian kid we were talking about earlier today? Marab. Another savage from Long Island. And the list goes on and on and on. Whoever we left out, I apologize. Doesn't mean anything just because we drank some whiskey tonight. But there's a talent pool over here of savages. So Belmore Kickboxing Academy is where you do your striking. Where's your jiu-jitsu from?
It depends, man. Me personally, Joe Scarola is the man as far as jiu-jitsu goes. But they got so many different people, man. They got Matt Serra, who's a legend in the game. He beat
GSP.
He beat GSP. You have Nardu. He's a Matt Serra black belt. And
he has his own place now?
Yeah, you have so many different people that
shout out Ryan LaFleur. It's LIMMA, right?
Yeah, exactly. Long Island MMA. Like, you have so many different people, jiu-jitsu wise, that it's like, anytime you lift your eyebrow, you have somebody who's credible and knowledgeable enough that they can guide you in the right direction.
Yeah, Long Island's become like a real powerhouse. It's amazing, and almost every. And then what is Kyle Serm's girl?
Kyle Sermonera.
What's his girl? Blonde fighter who just won this past week.
Yeah, kudos to her, man. She went out there and she had an amazing performance, and
she's a bad motherfucker.
She's just right there. She's in that top 5.
Yep.
And she's just one solid performance away from getting that belt.
Yeah, man. Women fighters too. It's unbelievable. And so quick, going back to before we took our, I don't know how many times piss break. Sorry again. Everyone was watching. I apologize in advance. Some whiskey got the best of us tonight. However, we were going back before, we were talking about how, and it goes, this is why I want to get my nephew into fighting. I want to have him to learn how to defend himself, because as a man, it's important. I don't care how pussified our society becomes. You need to know how to defend yourself and defend the people who need defending around you. I don't ever want to be in a room when a woman or a child is in danger and I'm cowering in the corner. I mean, listen, I'm no tough guy, but you'll have to get through me to get to the people I'm with. I'll always put myself in harm's way first. And I'm not trained like Dre. I'm not saying that I am, but I am willing to put myself in that position. And I want everybody around me, and when I have kids, and now my sister's kid, I want them to learn those skills so they can feel confident, not to be a bully. Nobody wants that. Not to inflict pain on people, but to be able to defend himself, be confident, walk in a room, not worry about his own safety. And if God forbid the time does come where he needs to step up, for him to be able to step up. But it's funny because when it's almost ironic when people are super trained in a discipline like MMA, when they're good at defending themselves, they become less aggressive. Ironically, they become so confident themselves they don't need to show it off. And I can attest to that, because a funny story going back is me, Dre, and who's your friend, the wrestling guy from I believe Pennsylvania or Connecticut?
Gregor or
no? I mean, we went out that night. The night we went out.
Oh, TJ Hepburn.
TJ.
Yeah.
Shout out to TJ. We went out, me, you, him, and my buddy, and we went out to a bar. Everyone was drinking. We were having a good time. We weren't starting troubles with nobody. We were just talking amongst ourselves. One of my buddies, shout out Doobie and Christina, getting married next week. Mazel. They were with us, and some drunk ass starts hitting on my boy's girl when we're off to the side talking. And TJ's a stand-up motherfucker. He had just met Doobie maybe half an hour earlier, saw what was going on, and put a kibbutz to it before anything happened, and stepped in and was like, hey, she's with somebody. But very respectful. Wasn't being a tough guy, nothing like that. But we walked back over, and I got wind of what was going on. I peeped what was going on also. I'm always my head's on the swivel. I saw what was going on. The kid whose girl was completely, because his back was turned to the situation. And we go back over, and the bouncers get in between, and they're going to me like, we don't want any problems. We know that, you can do whatever. And I'm looking around, I go, me? I'm the last motherfucker here you have to worry about. I'm with 2 killers right now. And people look at that twisted. It's funny because, you know, obviously sometimes I'm in good shape. Sometimes I'm better shape than other times. In summertime, I'm usually more visually appealing than most times. But you look at, you know, you think I'm the fucking threat. Meanwhile, this guy, how much does TJ weigh?
TJ is probably 170, 72 pounds.
170 pounds, and he will take me or anybody in that motherfucking place and put them on their goddamn head. It's not the shoulder caps and the pecs you got to look for. What I always say is, if you see somebody with cauliflower ears, the nose, the chin, that's what you got to look out for. Because when you see that, those people fight for fun. You know what I'm saying?
They enjoy it.
They enjoy it. They enjoy it. That's what you have to look out for. That's what you have to be worried about. Not the guy with the muscles, not the big dude. The guy who pumps up in the gym like me. I'm not one to be worried about. I can defend myself, but I'm not someone you gotta be scared of. You gotta be scared of people like this motherfucker. You gotta be scared of people. How are your ears looking right now? Let me see. Show the audience those cauliflowers.
They look sexy, don't they?
Those you gotta turn. You turn to the camera. When you see that, that's when you get diplomatic. That's when you start thinking of your exit strategy. That's when you start figuring out, okay, who do I need to apologize to make this situation go away and go away fast? We went out with that same crew one more time. We went to a place in Queens. We won't get into details. But we were having a good ass time again, and the bouncer got into it with us. And this guy was a monster. And he was telling us about his accolades. He was in the 96 Olympics. I mean, this big motherfucker said he was a medalist in the Olympics. He was probably 250, 6'2", and now he got TJ, who's probably 5'9", 175 pounds. Like, let's go.
Yo,
he walks in the room with a confidence you just cannot duplicate.
TJ is one of the strongest human beings I've ever met. That dude has been raised on like cow's blood and like
that farmland stuff, huh?
He's just a different human being, man. And so if you're gonna step to him, like, you got to be on point with your shit, because he can fight, he can wrestle, and unfortunately, he can shoot too, man. Like fucking guns, bow and arrow, like, you know. And you just got to be careful. You just
do not want. That's like the Tim Kennedys of the
world.
Why
would you want any problems with somebody like that? Because
I don't want problems with anybody. Period. But you know that guy least of all.
Exactly. So I'm
glad we're on his good. I'm on his good side through you, and I appreciate that.
We're on his team. You know, we're on his team. A couple other guys, we're on their team, and by the grace of God, you know, thank God. But you know, certain people, the expression goes, certain people just need a whole lot of leave alone. You just need to leave them alone, let them be in their own little world, and that's that. Like, you don't need to interfere.
Better not mess with someone like that.
Because what's the point?
They look for that.
It's never going to end good.
And they've spent their whole lives preparing for that moment.
Exactly. They just, oh, this motherfucker just challenged me. He think he can beat me in a fight.
Sweet.
He can beat me in a gunfight. Like, and it's like, you don't really want to go there with people like that. It makes no sense.
No. People take a lot of time, especially when they're drinking and doing drugs, you know, imagining what they would do if they got into a fight and all the tough guy talk. And then there's the people that every single day go and rehearse what to do in that position. And the last thing you want to do is be the person from the first part of that conversation going head to head with someone from the latter. And I've seen it go down. And you see, excuse me, you see in the atmospheres like a bar, a club, whatever it is, when shit breaks out, you look around and you see the calm motherfucker, the calmest guy in the room. That's the guy. That's the guy you got to watch out for, because he's been there before. He's rehearsed this before. He knows exactly what to do. The loudest guy in the room is never the guy to worry about. It's always the quiet guy in the corner who's mapping out who he's going to knock out and how.
He's a dangerous dude, man. Once that dude gets loose and he's like in a free fall and he's like, I'm just trying to hurt as many people as quickly as possible.
Good luck reining him in too.
You know what I mean? Like, he's not coming back down until he's done doing what he said he's going to do. That point in time is just, it is what it is. You know?
When we went out the night, you said he was helping you with your wrestling training at that point, right? So you spend time with him in camps? And he's your wrestling partner at that point, I guess you say?
Coach, partner, all of that.
What are his wrestling accolades?
He's as far as I know, he's a 3-time national champ.
Jesus Christ.
Junior college, Division II, NCAA, and he's just a bad dude, man. If he gets his hands on you, there's very little you can do that he's not uh, formal with. You know, you're just in trouble at that point in time.
There's nowhere he can't take you.
Pretty much, yeah.
I had that experience. I was Nate Robinson a few weeks ago. I went to so for those of you who don't know, I'm working on a show called Kill Johnny, where I throw myself into the deep end with different types of fitness, including martial arts. I did a jiu-jitsu episode, and I went to my buddy Felix's jiu-jitsu gym in Brooklyn. It's the Flatbush Grappling Club, and me and John Calistine, who I think you said you know, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you've heard of. Who's a black belt and is
a bad boy.
Yeah, he's competed in Abu Dhabi, and I believe they call him the heel hooking hobbit. Mind you, he is 5'6", and I say that generously, not offensively to him, because I don't want to get choked out again. But and I have to imagine 50 pounds on him, and not 50 pounds because neither of us are fat. 50 pounds of muscle on him. And I wanted to get thrown in the deep end and see what it was like. So I went and rolled with a black belt, and it sounded fun, and it sounded like a good idea until the bell rung, and things kicked off, and I got choked out from every angle possible. And you realize how fast athleticism goes out the window and technique comes into play. No matter what I did, he was already there, and anything I tried to do, it was no longer there anymore. He was in a different spot, and somehow he had an advantage over me. He was on my back. He was choking me out. We rolled for 1 5-minute round. I think he tapped me out 4 times, and I'm sure he was taking it easy on me. I'm sure he could have drastically injured and blew out my knee if he wanted. He didn't even go. His patented move, what he's world renowned for, is a heel hook, and he didn't go for it one time. He got my neck all 4 times.
That means he cares about you.
Yeah. Well, his business partner is one of my best friends, so I think that was what did it. But he was a gentleman about it. But it's just funny because going into it, I knew I couldn't beat him. Like, this guy's a world class in his craft, and I'm going in there as a fucking nobody. But I just, like, I couldn't imagine in my head someone this much smaller and I'm that much stronger than. How's he gonna do it? Like, how's it gonna happen? And then quickly I saw, and just, it was amazing how where I thought there was no space, he would create space. When I thought I had him, he was gone. And no matter wherever he was, I couldn't get him off me. And he just seemed to have the strength of a 300-pound guy at 155 pounds.
That's how it goes. That's grappling.
That's jiu-jitsu, right?
When you understand where to put your body and when and how.
The leverage, the angles.
It's just, it plays such a major role in controlling somebody that, you know, they can't seem to get the upper hand. And in that position, they're panicking and in a sense, wasting energy.
Oh, I was wasting energy, like every fucking everything possible. I thought I had him at one point. That was the funniest part. There was one point where I overpowered him for like a split second because of the weight difference. And in my head, I'm going, oh my God, you're about. And before I even finished the thought in my head, he had spun around me, took my back, and I was now hand fighting to get him off my neck. And it was only a matter of about another 12 seconds before I had a tap.
Yep.
It's amazing.
And
there's levels to this shit.
In your mind, you're like, I got him. He's off me. And the next, you know, he's in a different position. It's like, fuck. And you're
trying to fight the hands and the foot move. You're trying to fight the foot, the hand moves. Yeah. And then it's like, what the fuck is this Cobra?
It's like, no matter where you go, you're being attacked. And it's like,
he's a step ahead.
You don't have a break. And at that very moment, you realize, like, there's nothing I can do to get ahead of this.
I'm out of my league.
I just need to learn.
So we went over your high school and your middle school and what got you into wrestling. How did you make the transition to MMA?
So when I was in college, one of my teammates
at Nassau?
No, in Kansas, in Fort Hays State University.
And you're wrestling at this point for that college, I'm assuming.
So my friend JT Hudson, teammate, he was like, Dre, I do MMA. I just don't have nobody to train with.
This is like 06, 07, 08, that area?
06 maybe.
Okay.
He was like,
MMA is still very new at this point, to put it in perspective.
Relatively new.
Yeah.
And he was like, would you train with me and, help me out? And I was like, yeah, I'll do it. We put on boxing gloves and we're boxing with takedowns. And we started incorporating kicks with takedowns.
Have you done any prior striking training?
None.
Zero.
Zero.
Besides your brothers and whatever schoolyard shit happens.
Zero. And so, you know, most people I think don't realize how much kicks take a toll on things.
Oh my God.
And they hurt. Kicks hurt extremely bad. And so I'm getting kicked. I'm like, fuck, this shit hurts. I'm gonna kick this motherfucker back. Like he's gonna understand how this feels. And when I go to kick, I do it wrong. My hands are down, I'm square and everything. And he hits me. And when he hits me, my jaw like fucking cricks, and I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? I need to learn how to kick properly.
I need to learn things all over again.
I need to learn all of this shit so I can get this motherfucker back.
It's like going back to the same thing that happened when you went wrestling and that kid with the leg moves. That same exact thing clicked in when you're like,
same motion.
I need to know what he knows.
Everything the same. And then when I was like, when I learn what he knows, I'll win this plaque, one of the plaques, and then I'll be done with. And by the time I learned what he knew, I was in my first MMA fight. I fought. I won.
Kansas?
Yeah, I fought. I won, and I was addicted. And
it was on.
That was it. It was no turning
fucking
back.
fired to even hear that.
To fucking win a fight against the guy that
you're not getting in trouble. You get to win a fight and get praised. You're not getting arrested. You're not getting sued. You're not getting in trouble.
The guy that I fought was teaching MMA privates at the gym. It was his gym, and everybody on the MMA forum was like, Andre's gonna get killed for his first fight. Why would he fight Gabe Charbonnet? Gabe Charbonnet? He's gonna get fucking decapitated. Like, Gabe is the man.
What kind of martial arts was he an instructor at?
Muay Thai and Jiu-Jitsu. So
you bit off a lot for your first fucking fight.
It was like there was no way that I could possibly win.
He had you on the ground, and he's a more seasoned striker.
I went in there and I told the people, I said, listen, you guys know what Gabe is capable of doing. You've seen it. You have zero idea of what I can do. So if anything, be questionable on what I can do, and don't be so praiseworthy of what he can do.
And people at your gym.
This is what I said. And then, people went on, they would talk so much trash about me. I went on there in the first round. He's very antsy and he's throwing combinations and I'm blocking him. And I end up landing a front kick that sent him like clear across the cage.
Where'd you hit him?
A front kick.
To the face or the body?
To the chest.
Okay.
He went clear across the cage. And like a madman, I ran, I pounced on him, I started landing stuff. He gets up, I pick him up, I dump him back down, start landing stuff, and his eye was split open. I don't know if that was good, bad, or indifferent, but I know I was happy because he wasn't hurt by his eye splitting open. It was just split in the spot where the blood would have ran into his eye. And so he could very well kept fighting. Maybe he would have beat me up. Maybe he wouldn't have. I don't know. All I know is that, he was still coming for it, and so was I, but they stopped the fight because his eye was split. And so I won. And everybody would praise me like, oh, your stand-up is amazing. It's the best I've ever seen. Are you sure you're coming from wrestling? Because clearly you're coming from Muay Thai. And I'm like, these people are nuts. I've threw street punches before, but I've never thrown a proper punch before. And, I ended up getting on there, man, and I just got so addicted on learning how to do better and be better that before it's all said and done, I'm here now.
So you're in Kansas at that point. You win your first fight. Do you fight more in Kansas?
Yeah.
How many more fights in Kansas?
I was 6-0 as an amateur before I turned pro.
All in Kansas?
All in Kansas.
And then you came back to go pro in New York?
Yeah. My first fight in New York, I was in New Jersey.
Ring of Combat?
Ring of Combat. I came out here.
Shout out to Lou Neglia?
Lou Neglia and Cleve Trimble. They both spoke and figured it out. And I was sitting up there and I was, Keith was like, listen, we'll get you in.
Wait, hold on. Before we get to that, we missed a step clearly. So you're in Kansas, you're 6-0, you're at college. I'm assuming you finished college, came back home to New York. What made you go with Keith? How'd that happen?
So my older brother, one of his best friends was friends with one of the guys that was in Belmore. And so it was more like a competition thing. Like, well, my little brother's better than your friend. And so we both linked up at Belmore.
Who's this?
LaRon McCravey. And so we both linked up in Belmore. And
he's still over there?
I was with LaRon yesterday.
I think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, and so we all linked up, and
what cars he had drive?
Right now he drives a Cherokee, but prior to it, he drove the BMW.
Yeah, I think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah,
we linked up before, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And so we were there.
GP,
LZ,
or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
Okay, I think we're on the same page. What we're talking about.
So we all linked up, and me and Ron.
Black kid, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Ron,
he was fighting from that far back.
Yeah. Ron used to let me borrow. He had 2 cars at the time. He had
Ronnie,
one nice,
like Ronnie.
Yeah.
Okay.
He had one nice Infiniti, and he had like an old Toyota. And he used to give me the old Toyota to drive around with my ex-wife and my kid, so that I could make amends. And he used to let me borrow that in order, to do whatever. And
living at Freeport at this point.
Yeah, and I used to appreciate it so much, man, because I didn't have a car. I didn't know if I even had a license good at the time, And so I used to use that to get around, make things work when my ex was here, and it just made things a lot easier for me.
That's how you got into Belmont Kickboxing Academy.
Yeah.
And you started fighting for them at Ring of Combat.
Mm-hmm.
How many fights in Ring of Combat? You're a pro at that point?
Yeah, so Ring Combat.
So you meet Keith and you're like, I'm 6-0. He sees you. I'm sure he puts you through some workouts and goes, you're ready.
Mm-hmm.
And he vouched for you to turn pro?
He was like, he pretty much vouched for me to turn pro. I was 6-0 as the amateur.
How's that go? I'm curious. If you're an amateur and you want to turn pro, is there like a qualification fight, or is it just a promoter has to say he's ready?
A little bit of both. Promoter has to say you're ready and have to have some kind of substantial evidence to show.
So it shows your record. You're 6-0.
And if you don't have an amateur record, then you have to really dig deep and show, like, you've been sparring with these people and you've been doing well with these people. You really have to go in. Luckily, I had like 6 fights, and I did well in all of them, and I was able to, go from there. And you would fight from there and start working your way up the ladder.
So you've been with Keith since what year was that?
2010.
That's 10 years already.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, over 2010 was my first fight.
So a little bit over
2010. Yeah.
Damn. So you have some bond, I'm sure, at this point.
Yeah.
He seems like a very strong figure in your life.
Very. Very.
He's one of those guys I never got to actually like get personal with.
Yeah.
Because he's, from what I gathered, he's like, he's got this aura about him, right? I just know from just hearing. I know him since I don't know him. I know of him since I'm a child because I lived and always in this area. He's always been like the fucking scary guy that everybody went to, and everybody just respects. He has this cloud of respect around him that I've never heard somebody who doesn't respect that guy, and it's very rare in 2020. And I just see how he operates. I see how disciplined he is and how well he treats his employees and his fighters. And I've only heard amazing things about him. Seems like a family guy, just a good, solid fucking dude.
He is. I always say that the world could use more people like him.
I'm sure it could.
But him as a person, like, when I was out there, I was out in Colorado, I had nowhere to get back home. And I never forget, he was like, yo, listen, if you want to come back home, I'll bring you back home. I'll give you my credit card, you'll buy a ticket, you come back home. I better not fucking see no, charges from strip clubs or stupid shit like that. And I'm laughing, I'm joking, and he brings me back home, and his wife, Trish goes, listen, I'm happy you made it back, because he would never admit this, but he missed you while you was gone. I was in the gym from morning to night when I was here.
How many years were you here before you went to Colorado?
Not very long, maybe like 8 months.
Okay.
But
we developed a close bond that fast.
Because I was there every day.
Yeah.
And it was more so because half of it was because I didn't have enough money to get home. And the other half was I wanted to learn.
Yeah. And he's the guy.
Who else would you learn from?
Yeah.
Except for the man that fucking takes over everything. He's a legitimate alpha male. So I'm learning from him. And
that's what I mean when I say he has that aura about him.
He's an alpha male.
You just see him and you're like, okay, like that guy, I want to be on that guy's side.
You have to be. he's that guy. You know what I mean? Like, and
the alpha among alphas.
And he's such a good guy that to be on a rival side of him means that you're kind of shady. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's very honest.
He's the litmus test. If he doesn't get along, it's like that's how I look at my mother. Like, if my mother doesn't like you, there's got to be something wrong with you, because everybody gets along with my mother.
Exactly.
And I feel like he's that kind of person in a lot of people's lives, where it's like, if Keith don't like you, there's probably something to it.
I've seen him pull people to the side and say, "Listen, you're a grown man, and I know you want to fight, but you're not ready to fight. And so if you do this, you can, and I'll support you. But understand, I don't think you're ready for this, and I won't waste my family's time to be in your corner for something that I don't believe that you're ready for."
I remember that's how me and you came to actually meet. I had heard about Keith. I was looking to get striking instruction, and I went in there thinking that I could just buy my way into getting training from Keith. And I found out that's not how it works. But it was a blessing in disguise. I got to train with you instead. And we developed a friendship from that. And then I saw, because you don't know, it wasn't because of any ill intent. I just like, okay, in my head, I'm like, my brain works is, I want the best of everything. That's just how my brain always works. Okay, I want to do this. Well, what's the best version of that? Let's get that, right? So we want a car. What's the best car there is? Or we want to go on a vacation. What's the best place we can go? Or we want to learn a trait. Who's the master that's learned from him? So I'm like, Keith's the guy. Let's go to Belmont Kickboxing Academy. And he's looking at me like, who the fuck is this kid? I'm not taking my time out of the day to train this fucking kid. There's no fucking way. He's not serious about fighting, and I wasn't ready to get into the ring and compete with the Belmore Kickboxing Academy flag behind me. What the fuck would he take me on? But I'm not nuanced in it. But walking into there, and then I'm sitting there and I'm watching you train, I'm watching Gregor train, I'm watching Gian train, I'm watching Adam train, and I'm just like, this place is fucking crazy. I drove past this place every day. It's across from a 7-Eleven. You would never think as you're getting your fucking Slurpee, Chris Algieri, fighting Pacquiao. I mean, we're talking about world class people in Belmore, Merrick Road. You just don't see, it's a synagogue next door. You ever get a Slurpees? It's just, there's jerk-offs getting Slurpees across the street, not realizing there's world-class fighters literally 50 feet from them. Unbelievable.
It's crazy stuff, man. I remember going there. I remember it was a blizzard. And the people that were living with at the time was like, "Dre, it's a blizzard out. You can't make it to the gym today." And I was like, "I'm going to make it. Like, if I got to walk, I'll make it." And I did that day. I walked
from Freeport,
from Lindenhurst, I think it was.
From Lindenhurst?
I walked from Lindenhurst to Belmore during a blizzard.
And for people who aren't from, Joey, please pull up a fucking map. Are you sure it's Lindenhurst?
I'm pretty positive it was 240 Riviera Drive, Lindenhurst. I'm pretty sure it was Lindenhurst. I walked from Lindenhurst to Belmore during one of those blizzards. And I made it there because I needed to train,
Jesus fucking Christ. Lindenhurst?
Lindenhurst, yep.
This is like the stories your parents tell you. Like, back in my day, we used to walk 28 miles in the snow back and forth to school every day. This motherfucker really did it.
I just grabbed the coat. And you know what was crazy about that is I didn't have a winter coat. I never had a winter coat. One of the trainers,
you had shoes, right? Don't tell me there was no shoes.
I didn't have boots really like that either.
You were on Air Forces or something?
No, I didn't even. I had Reeboks. I had like the
classics.
No, not the classics. I had like
Pumps?
What do you call it? The cross training Reeboks. And one of the guys at the gym, one of the owners at the gym, Spiro, he gave me a winter coat and he gave me a couple different boots, a couple different like.
Lindenhurst? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's got to be that's got to be 6 hours. What take you all day?
No, it didn't take me 6 hours. The N19 runs down, through that area. And so I would just walk. And then whenever I would catch the N19, I would just jump on it. So sometimes it'd be an hour and a half, 2 hours, maybe. Then I would jump on the N19. And it would drop me off, a block or two away. Yeah. It dropped me off a block or two away from the gym and I'd, be on it.
That's determination, man. That's just a different fucking level. I mean, goddamn. There's always levels to everything in life, and I always love discovering a new level because it just fucking motivates me. I like to pat myself on the back sometimes as being determined. When I get something in my head, like it's got to be accomplished. Yeah. It doesn't matter what the fuck's in the way. There is nothing stopping me from getting to where I want to go, right? Mm-hmm. And then I fucking hear people like you, and I'm just like, am I even trying? Am I even doing anything?
You are.
I don't know if I would. I don't know. I can't honestly say that I would walk from Lindenhurst to Belmore to train. It's 9 miles in the snow.
I mean, in my mind,
I thought it was further than that, honestly. But 9 miles in the snow. I mean, what do you walk? 4 miles an hour is an average, right? Yeah, it's about 2.5 hours, probably 2 hours plus in the snow. Get the fuck out of here.
In my mind,
I mean, there's no secret to why you're world champion.
In my mind, I didn't see it as that. I didn't see it as like, yo, this is a long walk. It's extremely cold. I know that I need to get better because I'm not where I want to be. And the only way for me to get better is I need to be there.
Yep.
And so I need to get there. And the only way for me to get there is I have to leave early enough that I would get there to be able to train and watch other people train.
By any means necessary. And I hope people listening to this right now appreciate that. I don't care what the fuck you do for a living. I don't care what your goals are. I don't care what your aspirations are. If that doesn't fire you up right there, you are fucking dead inside. You are dead inside. Okay. And right now, I want to go run through this fucking wall right here. This motherfucker walked 10 miles a day in the snow to go, and it wasn't like he went there to go pick up a paycheck. He went to get his ass kicked and go work like a motherfucker. Yeah. God fucking damn it. God bless you, brother. That is something that
I remember one time I jumped on the N19 bus. One of my friends and teammates, Tom English, we were supposed to be sparring with Chris Algieri for the first time that day. And I'm on the bus and I'm nervous, man. I'm like, fuck, man. Chris Algieri's fucking undefeated pro boxer. We're sparring boxing. Worst come to worst, I can't kick him. I can't take him down.
You're purely boxing sparring with him.
It's all boxing. And so I said, hey, man. I said, yo, Tommy, like, what's up, man? Like, what's it gonna be like? This is like my elder right now.
He'd already done it.
He'd already done it. So he was like, yo, I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. Like, we gonna be like target practice. Chris gonna fuck us up. You gotta pretty much be in there for 2 to 3 rounds. You gotta last that time frame, no matter what you get hit with. You gotta keep marching forward. I'm like, what the fuck kind of motivational advice is that?
That's not what I need to hear.
Like, that's not what I want to hear. Like, tell me that if I hit this motherfucker with something, he's gonna take a step. Nothing of the sort. He was like, nah, bro. Like, we gonna get our ass whipped.
There's levels to this shit.
And we get there, and sure enough, we get fucked up. Chris has some amazing cardio. So it was like, if you were lucky,
freak athlete,
you got in there for the first 3 rounds because the first round and a half, he wasn't warmed up yet. But like after that, you would get tuned. Fucking great cardio, good combinations, very crafty. And it was just like rough. And it was like, there's really
world-class specialist.
There's really people out here like this. This is before he won the WBO world title.
And he lost.
You know what I mean? So I was like,
there's levels, man. There's levels.
You know what I mean?
People don't understand. That's the whole reason why I started that Kill Johnny show, is because I love keeping my ego in check. I love challenging myself. I love putting myself into deep water, getting uncomfortable, pushing myself, setting ridiculous goals, whatever it is. And there's no easier way to get your ego checked than physically putting yourself in a situation where you're outmatched. Whether it's if most human beings come with me into a physical, a weightlifting workout, I'm no Hercules, but my pace and my workout style is very unique to me, and I'm very specialized in it. It's going to be very difficult for someone who's not used to it to keep up with my pace and to keep up with my style of working out. And that is what I wanted to experience in every aspect. And I did that with jiu-jitsu, I did that with bodybuilding with someone who was 300 pounds, monster. Vincenzo guy is the biggest fucking person you've ever seen in your goddamn life. I did that with agility training. I did that in Sacramento with a football trainer at Game Fit. I mean, all over the place. And like in every aspect of not only fitness, but of life, there's levels to that. And everyone gets so caught up in their local fucking small pond, thinking they're a big fish. And it's easy when you go into the Golds or the Crunch or the Planet Fitness that's by your house to think that you're a big shit. But there are monsters out there, and you don't have to go very far to find them. You don't need to go to the mountains of Dagestan to be outmatched. You don't need to go to, LA or New York City. I mean, I could walk 20 minutes to Bowman Kickboxing Academy and be with world-class people. And that goes for everything. There's real levels to this shit, and everybody needs an ego check here and there. And that's why I started Kill Jonny. That's why I love that shit, because I love feeling the expertise and the levels and the strength difference and the skill difference, technique difference. And that's what's amazing about MMA is that no matter how good you are as a striker, you could be world class. Look at Conor McGregor against Khabib. Conor's got, at his weight class, some of the best stand-up, best timing in all of striking in MMA. And he got into the ring with somebody who's the best grappler pound for pound maybe of our time in MMA, and he got embarrassed. He got taken for a goddamn ride. And that can happen to anybody. And it's important to keep that in mind.
All it takes is one technique. Be it a takedown, a punch, a kick, or a submission, or whatever. All it takes is one technique, and all of a sudden, everything that you know to be very, very true is out the window. And the only thing that's on your mind is that I have to survive. I just got hit with this punch, and I have to stay alive. I got hit with this kick,
survival mode,
and I have to survive. I got taken down, and this guy's on top of me. He's trying to strangle me, and I have to survive. I got dumped over his shoulder. I have to survive. At those points in time, everything goes out the window, and all you're thinking is, I have to survive. And you're just on a hope and a prayer that you can do it.
And fighting is particularly brutal because there is always that danger until the bell rings or the ref pulls you off somebody. That can always happen. And, obviously, I don't mean to bring this up as a sore point, but the last year in your last fight, I was there ringside, and you were dominating. You were dominating this kid. It was 2 rounds in, and the striking was, the scorecard was
4-1.
But we were looking at the strikes landed, and it was something absurd, like 38-3 in strikes landed. And the kid had a specialty in, I'm guessing, jiu-jitsu. He had good grappling, and it was one bad moment, and in a position that you were dominating in too. It was more or less a ground and pound situation at that point. And like a fucking warrior, you didn't tap. No, you didn't tap it, which was unbelievable to watch. And I was proud. I was proud to be there, even through defeat. I was proud to be there supporting you, because I saw that and I was like, man, this motherfucker would rather go to sleep, rather die. That showed me you would rather die than quit. And that showed me about what you are as a person. It meant like you were dominating. You proved to me in the first 3-minute round or 5-minute round, the first round, that you were a superior fighter to him. That was already out of the window. But the fighting, the brutality and honest nature of fighting is that it's never over till it's over, right? Anyone's a fighter's a puncher's chance. You proved already that you were a superior fighter in that ring. You got caught. Something happens to anybody. GSP, top 3 fighter probably of all time. Same guy Matt said something before, 1 punch. But what you proved to me in defeat that day, honestly, to me, showed more about your character than had the rest of the fight played out like the first 9 minutes of you just dominating. I would have been impressed, obviously, because it was you were putting on a technical masterpiece. But what you showed me in defeat was more impressive to me, because not tapping is something that everybody wishes they could say they would do, right? Every fucking tough guy, and myself included, because before I went to go roll with Palestine, my thought was like, he'll have to put me to sleep. Like, fuck that shit. I ain't going out like no bitch on camera. Motherfucker, I went like a bitch like 4 times in a goddamn round. And there was nobody watching. There were 4 fucking white belts watching. You went out on your goddamn sword, and I watched that, and I was like, I was so fucking proud to be your boy, to be there supporting you, to be there sponsoring you at that time. And I was like, that motherfucker is just a different breed, man. He will die in there for to put it in there. You have to kill him. And that just speaks to a different level of character in a human being. And I was, like I said, I can't say it enough times. I was super proud of you that fucking night, regardless of the outcome. And we went out after that. We had a hell of a fucking night. And we went out and partied that night. And me, you, my girl, your girl, we went out. And it was Vegas. So we did it up like only you can in Vegas.
Exactly.
And we had a hell of a fucking night, and we partied like indifferent to the outcome. But just speaks to the character. And I think if anybody listening here has been actually paying attention to the things that the way you came to be the way you are, how you grew up, having to survive in your own goddamn house, the way you look at things, you know, I mean, your mentality, like, okay, I just got beat by this guy. I'm not going to get sour. I'm not going to pout. I'm not going to bitch about it. He knows something I don't know. I'm going to go and learn what he knows to be better than him. And I'm assuming, I put my life on it, that you've gone a lot further in your career than that guy who beat you as an 8th grader, you know? And then same thing with your fight when you got to MMA and you learn for the first time. You're the way you look at life, the way you look at everything is super fascinating to me, because you look at them from you have an analytical brain, which I don't think most people give cage fighters credit for. Like, you're very smart, and the way you analyze situations and life itself, and you break it down, the way you handle yourself in the way you train, the way you handle your family, the way you go about raising your daughter, everything is super methodical, super technical, planned out, thought out, and executed like a gentleman and with super dedication, and it's super admirable, and I really admire that about you.
I remember listening to an interview with Tyson, and they were, after the interview, they were being super disrespectful, saying that, you know, Tyson was barbaric. Not entirely sure.
Like way back when, or like recently?
Way back when.
Okay, yeah, when he was still fighting.
They were saying he was barbaric, and they were saying that he was a brute, and you know, a dumb brute in a sense. And I seen somebody come to the defense of him, and they said Tyson is far from a dumb brute. To be able to do what he does is ingenious. The definition of genius is being to figure out a problem, in a short period of time with limited resources. And so, if you're talking in sense of fighting, you have somebody that's looking to hurt you with a specific skill set, aka the problem, in a short period of time,
and you're reacting on a
and
dime.
you have milliseconds in order to react and figure it out and what to do to counteract that. And if you can do that successfully, you're theoretically a genius.
To his level, 100%. Tyson, a genius. Floyd, a genius.
Muhammad Ali, all these guys are geniuses.
Not only is Floyd a problem solver, but he's a problem that can't be solved.
You understand what I'm saying?
How was he 50, you know? 50 men in professional sports and professional level have tried to solve the problem of Floyd Mayweather. Nobody has fucking figured out that Rubik's Cube.
Whether you like him or dislike him, you have to respect what it is that he brings to the table. And so,
master of his
craft. And looking at all of this, and you realize what is really going on, like, and be able to figure out a problem in milliseconds in front of you, with all the adjustments that these people make to make themselves better, and to now come in and you know, show those problems to you, and you have to now figure them out. Otherwise, you could be eliminated.
It's a two-sided equation. You're not just solving a problem, you're trying to deliver a problem to the other person to solve simultaneously.
It's an ingenious
People do not appreciate the nuance of fighting, and I'm not saying I'm even capable of it, because I think unless you've been to the level of experience like someone like yourself where you can really say, I've been there, I've done that, I know exactly what that feels like, you can't truly appreciate it. But people do not, they put this blank, they don't understand the nuances of the game. And you watch a fight, it's completely different than the Joe Schmo watching the fight. The things that you're seeing, the footwork, the technique, the angles, you're looking at a fight and you're seeing some of the people who are just, like I said, an average fight fan, they're missing it completely.
It's just, you know, it's a rough thing, man, because people don't know and appreciate what it is that they're actually seeing. You know, in their mind, it's just two guys throwing fists and kicks and elbows, and And it's more than that, man.
They're associated with schoolyard fights growing up.
They're
associated with schoolyard fights growing up.
Yeah, it's not a schoolyard fight.
No, nothing like it.
It's not a, I'm going to put my boot back down, you put yours down, and we'll just swing until somebody lands. There's so much more. Like, I'm setting you up for 7 to 8 rounds for a technique that may or may not land. And if it does, awesome. If it doesn't, then I have to have a plan B and a plan C and a plan D. And it's so much more than that. You know what I mean? And it's like, you have to give respect to that. Like, people are putting their health and their livelihood on the line.
And unlike other sports, you only get a few times to showcase your talent.
Yeah.
As I always say, I think MMA is by far the hardest sport in the world. And I think this is controversial to a lot of people. I think bodybuilding is second. And the reason why I say that about those two sports, why I put them in the same category, although I think MMA is harder because his opponent's hitting you. The only two sports that are not only individual sports where there's no team to rely on, although you have your coaches, you have your team surrounding you. However, on top of that, you are training however many days out of the year, pretty much all of them, in bodybuilding, and fighting, you're having 1, 2, or 3 games a year. Imagine in basketball or football, if you practice 363 days a year, 360 days a year, and had 3 games a year, how important those games would be.
Yeah.
You don't get 82 games like basketball or 17 plus playoffs for football. You get 2 or 3 fights a year. And everything is in the fucking balance during those 2-3 fights. And that perspective is everything. Everything. And it doesn't get its fair due at all, in my opinion. Who the fuck am I? Nobody. But I'm just saying that's how I feel about it. It's a tough sport. I hope and pray that somebody has the balls to step up and say, I'm willing to fight Dre. And how many fights now have people bitched out of? I'll say it if you won't. How many fights have people bitched out of since last year?
Honestly, I'm not even sure. I just know every single fight that I've been offered has been within 2 or 3 days notice, or the person would agree to it and then cancel it at the last moment. And it's like,
it's not coincidence.
It's not. It's not. It's
they didn't all get COVID the night before.
No. Listen, I want somebody with a good name and a good record, but only under the circumstances that they can't win on.
I don't understand that. Say it again.
Only under the circumstances that they can't win on. So if you tell me 2 nights before you need me to be at a certain weight,
it's ridiculous,
in a certain state, it's
bullshit.
It's BS because that even if I'm in shape and been training, I'm not going to make that weight.
It's impossible.
Yeah, it's impossible.
So right now, are you currently looking for a fight in PFL?
No, not in PFL. Anywhere.
I'll
fight anywhere.
You're able to fight anywhere.
Anywhere.
You heard that? 145.
155 as well.
Motherfucker. 155 as this is why I love Dre, man. This is that mentality is everything, because I know if Dre wasn't like this with fighting, no matter what with a mind state like that, no matter what the fuck he did, he would be equally as successful at, because that mentality is everything. Everything starts up here. And my father always said growing up, he used to always say this stupid thing to me. And I realize now it's not stupid. But he used to say, you are what you are between your ears. And I always expect that. I expect, shut up. Like, the fuck does that even mean? But it's true. Everything starts with the mental. You got to see it first, believe it, and then execute. And with someone like him, you just hear the way he speaks. And it's just, everything starts here first. And it's just no doubt in his mind. This is what he's doing. And he's going to go about whatever the fuck he has to do to make that happen. That's the fresh perspective in this situation. If you're not taking that approach to whatever it is that you do or want to do, you're not going to be successful. I'll tell you that right the fuck now. I don't have to know you. I don't have to know what you want to do. I don't have to know anything about your business or sport or hobby or whatever it is. You will not be successful if you don't think like that. If you don't apply that mentality to your angle, you will not be successful. I'll guarantee that. I'll bet anybody. I don't have to know you or your fucking expertise or whatever the fuck you want to do. If you don't want to do it like that, you will not be successful. 145, 155, PFL, UFC, Titan, if it even exists anymore, ROC, whatever the fuck it is, Dre's ready. Are you?
at any given time frame. And you know what it is people look at me and they'll look at my record and they don't want to chance any future opportunities by fighting somebody of substance. They'd rather fight somebody that they know they can beat.
They want to pad their stats
And get a guaranteed W than fight somebody that is actually a worthy combatant.
Are there any specific names? Anybody on specific rosters that you'd say, I think it's a good matchup? Let's do it. I'm going to put you on the spot, but
you're not. I'd fight. Lord, I forgot his name. I'm forgetting names right now. I'm having a brain
which league?
UFC. I'd fight. Well, if it was PFL, I'd definitely fight Lance Palmer right now. I think
Palmer.
He's
the guy who won this year.
Yeah, I think we owe the.
He won back to back, right?
He won once.
No, I'm saying, not with you. I'm saying he won the last two.
Yeah,
at division.
But me and him.
But this year he squeaked out.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm saying it. You're not.
We won't get into specifics.
I'm saying it.
We won't get into.
I'm saying it. This is not Dre. I'm saying it. He squeaked one out this year, and that $1 million, man. We're coming for that whenever it's back up.
So I think we do owe the fans a trilogy fight. You won once, I won once.
Rubber match.
We owe the fans one last one to see who really is the better fighter. With that, I'd fight.
And respect to him.
Yeah,
he's a good fighter.
He's a good fighter, but I mean,
let's go.
If we were to fight, I think we all know what would happen.
Ooh.
You know, we all know what would happen. If we're talking UFC, if I was to fight, you know, there's a few guys, man, that I know.
I'm blanking who's 145 right now. Who's 145 champ right now in UFC?
The 145 Volkanovski. He's the 145.
That's a New Zealand dude, right?
Yeah,
the rugby guy.
He's the 145.
He's a little tough on the bitch. I like that guy.
He's tough.
Not like him against you, but I like him in general.
Holloway, he's a tough dude.
Tough dude.
You know, there's a couple guys, man.
Ortega's 145.
Ortega's 145, and he
beat good class.
He just beat the Korean Zombie, who again is another tough dude.
Yeah.
You know,
dude's built. That dude's.
You know, there's a lot of tough guys out there, man. But
you're ready.
I personally feel that if you put me in there at this very moment, I don't need 8 weeks and 10 weeks and all. If you put me in there. Give me 2 weeks. If you put me in there within 2 weeks, I personally think that it'd be a fight that the fans want to fucking see.
Hey, man, I know through my network, it can't be more than 2 or 3 degrees of separation to get to Dana White.
No.
Where we at here? Send this motherfucker to Abu Dhabi. I'm going. We want to go to Fight Island. You want to go to Fight Island. You want to watch him fight at 145 and... I mean, I'll put my money up against him against whoever.
Certain people said that they know for. I don't want to put them on a platform where they have to eat their words. But certain people that said that they know for a fact that there's people in the top 10 right now that I would beat. If that's the case, then I know what you're saying. Put me in there with somebody that's in the top 10, top 15 right now, and I can guarantee you that I'll beat them.
The problem is they want you to fight once before that, right?
That's all it is.
Yeah, and it's tough right now to get a fight. That's the problem.
Fucking COVID, man.
Between COVID and people saying they want to fight you and then not signing the contract, it makes it a tricky situation.
It's tough, man. But you know,
can we get Dre a fucking fight or what?
Just let me get somebody fight this motherfucker. Somebody that agrees to fight me, and you know, we get out there, we get that situation, and then let's get on with it, man.
Send location.
Send location, and you know, that's it, man. I'm on my Khabib. Send me location, and that's it, man. I'm fucking good to go, man. I'm always in shape. I'm always ready. I'm always training, and you know that just is what it is, man.
From the youngest brother having to battle off his 2 oldest brothers in East New York, to the Freeport middle schooler who had to claw his way to taking a senior spot and figuring out the differences between why he was not matching up from Greco-Roman to freestyle wrestling and funk, to going to Kansas, going undefeated as an amateur, to coming back to New York, going into Keith Trimble, Ring of Combat, becoming a professional, working his way up to Titan FC champion, going to PFL, And now, in my opinion, UFC caliber, Andre the Bull Harrison is world class. One of my brothers, solid motherfucking human being from top to bottom. And I hope and pray that we can get him a fight ASAP so he can show the world what people that know him already know, that he is that caliber. I think this is a great place to leave this off at. I had a great fucking time tonight. We drank way too much whiskey, but it was all worth it because I had a fucking blast. And I wish, as long as this podcast was, I don't know, honestly, I don't know if it's been 30 minutes or 3 hours or anywhere in between, but we spoke for about 2 hours off camera before this started. And it was honestly as enlightening and as informative and as beneficial to me as the time on camera. Dre, you're a brother of mine. Always a pleasure. We're going to be back on more often. I hope to do MMA breakdowns with you soon. Have some more guests. We'll have some fun with this shit. You'll be on this podcast 50 more fucking times in its run. It's been fucking awesome. And yo, my man, I'm going to go upstairs right now, and the Flex Pro meals, I've been telling them since they came in, the Yaman jerk chicken is here. And I'm hoping right now that Flex Pro understands we're getting an authentic taste test going down right now. Dre says he's the jerk chicken connoisseur. We're going to put his taste buds to the test right now. We're going to go taste it while he's got his, while whiskey's in his system, so just the honest feedback on it. And yeah, man, we'll be back next week. And thank you for tuning in to the Fresh Perspective. Go follow Dre the Bull, Andre Harrison. We'll put the links down below. And thank you guys for tuning in. Have a good night.
Appreciate you guys, man. Have a good night.